Like, are we starting?
We're starting. Welcome to the live stream, everyone. We have a special guest tonight. This is Josh from Fractal Design. Josh, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself that they can't tell just from looking at you, like the fact that you're some kind of gigantic monster person.
The fact that I'm incredibly awesome. I mean, I think that's a given. So yeah, I am the VP of Marketing for North America for Fractal Design, and I guess prior to that, I was a boutique system builder, so I know a few things about computer cases and stuff like that, but it's all up in the air. I bored you off already, huh?
No, it's my notebook. No longer has a picture on the screen, so maybe you could actually help me with some diagnostic testing procedures.
Did you plug it in?
It's clearly plugged in.
To the wall.
It is plugged into the wall. Okay,
okay,
let's see if Josh can handle this, because this will determine whether he's actually worthy to appear on the Linus Tech Tips live stream, although he's here already anyway.
Yeah, exactly. It was a long drive.
Okay, what do you got?
Okay, it looks like it's off.
Okay, let's try pressing the button.
Okay,
power button.
there.
I'm pressing the power button. We are getting a battery indicator here. Battery indicator. What do you got next?
Means you have a battery.
That means I have a battery.
Yeah.
Okay, you know what? I'm just gonna give him the answer because I need to get my notebook up and running. It has an extended battery pack, and the battery pack charges before it actually passes through to the notebook. So I have to plug the notebook in directly. I'm just gonna take my stupid battery pack off, so that I can actually have my notebook. So Josh, the boutique system builder that you were like an assembly guy there or something, right?
Yeah, I was a janitor. I've been a janitor at quite a few places, actually. Yeah, so the name of the company was Biohazard Computer Systems. We just did mainly like really high-end PCs.
Hold on, before we go any further, I want to take some Twitter feedback here, and I want to turn this keyboard on first so that it actually works and like does things.
Need help with that too?
Slick, we got trouble here.
What?
Is this plugged in?
Maybe.
Maybe not. Okay, cool. So let's go to Twitter, guys. There we go. 6 new interactions. You who have heard of Biohazard.
Oh, jeez. It's been a while, man. Come on.
I would like you to tune in and let us know your thoughts about Biohazard computers. Remember, you got 140 characters. Tweet at Linus Tech on Twitter. My Twitter sort of tag thing isn't here, but I suspect most of you are probably following already anyway. It would make Josh feel a lot better.
What, that your fans can use Google really quick?
It would be. Okay, guys, we want people who have legitimately heard of Biohazard before. That's what we're especially looking for here.
That's what you're looking for.
That's what. Yeah, I'm just stalling for time while I'm trying to figure out what this company
Talk
did.
amongst yourselves. We'll give you a topic. Biohazard, go.
No, this still. Yes, there we go. Talk about the 900D tonight, please. That's the first tweet. Yes.
There we go.
Okay. Are you allowed to talk about competitors' cases on the live stream? Because he had a list of things that we weren't allowed to talk about.
Bunnies.
Sorry, what?
Bunnies.
Bunnies.
Can't talk about bunnies.
Can't talk about bunnies, especially brown ones.
Yeah, unicorns are okay.
Unicorns are okay. Of course, our competitors' cases, are you allowed to talk about them?
Sure.
Sure? Okay. So he wants us to talk about the 900D. Have you seen the 900D? Have you seen my video about the 900D?
The case, yes. Your video, no.
Ouch. What do you think? As put on your ex-boutique system builder hat rather than your Fractal Design hat. What do you think?
Now, I said I could talk about it. Of course, I'm going to be very politically correct. It's a case that's made out of metal. And, no, it's a sizable case. I think that they... the biggest thing is people seem to think that a lot of people in the industry don't like each other because somebody's a competitor. But I think you have to have some mutual respect there. You know, it's like... They do what they do. They've gotten to the size that they've gotten to because of the fact they've been able to make good products. So there's respect.
Wow, you actually didn't talk about the 900D.
I know. Did you see how I just like went all the way around it?
Yeah, but see, I was on.
You asked me if I could. You didn't ask me if I would.
Dolphins versus unicorns. I think dolphins are an obvious choice because unlike unicorns, dolphins will actually heal any ailments of the body without harvesting the horn.
They cannot shoot rainbows.
No, dolphins cannot shoot rainbows, but everyone knows that dolphins, much like a nyan cat, can actually trail a rainbow behind them when they swim. You just can't see it because they're in the water.
Yeah, but unicorns like Highlander. There's only one.
If you've played Red Alert 2, you can also strap lasers to the head of dolphins.
That's true. That's true. I mean, the unicorn, by the time the unicorn actually gets to you and impales you in the chest.
It doesn't have to touch you. It can shoot the rainbow. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, because what's a rainbow going to do? Like change your
Did you ever
sexual
watch Freddie W?
orientation?
You ever watch Freddie W?
Okay, yes.
Okay, so
okay.
he's, okay.
Okay, all right. So moving on to the next, Slick and you are too casual. Go put on a coat. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's not a dress-up thing. It's a temperature thing.
Yeah, it's actually pretty chilly in here. I'm wearing like snow boots because it's freezing in here.
It's like the tundra, the Great White North up here.
All right, so question: have you been keeping up with the video card tech? Because I'd love to have you answer some of the questions since you used to know something about like computers.
I used to. I've shifted my focus. So yes, to a certain degree, but you're just going to correct me and make me look like an idiot anyway. So.
Okay, so should I get a 660 Ti or wait till the 670's price drops or the 700 series comes out? Personally, if you can afford a 670, go for it. If not, grab the 660 Ti. Be happy with it. I don't think anyone knows when 700 series is coming out. So, and if we did know, then we'd probably talk about the mutual respect that we have for competitors.
Exactly. I'm just saying. But that's legit, though.
Just deflect.
Yeah, deflect. Deflect. It's all centrifuge.
Correction. What's Biohazard?
I don't know.
Biohazard. You forgot.
BioWare, we had everything.
Yeah, what's BioWare? Oh, no.
It's like word association now.
Oh, okay, this is good. Biohazard's dead. He thought you were still in business.
I'm not.
Is Biohazard still around?
No, shouldn't be.
Oh.
I don't know. Maybe now I need to go Google something myself and see if I need to sue somebody.
Oh, fascinating.
So I might be retiring fairly early.
Okay, just to let you know, there's a bit of a latency for them actually seeing the live stream. So these next new 17 interactions could actually... Okay, something about me wearing the same pants all the time. Linus, change your pants. Okay, here's a question. Why didn't Fractal include sound deadening in the new Arc MIDI R2?
Well, the reason we didn't do that is that the Define series is our silent, our quiet PC case line. Yes, if I could put a panel up right here, this would go a lot better. But, Arc is all about airflow. So basically, if you want high airflow case, you go with the Arc. If you want airflow plus sound deadening, you go with the Define series.
Okay, well that was pretty straightforward. I think that pretty much took care of it. Should I get a 7970? Oh wow, a GTX 70. Okay, he's just trolling. Okay, how is Slick wearing shorts and short sleeves? I don't know. He's some kind of...
Need a coat? I got one.
I have never heard of robot dolphin attack, thus unicorns. There will never be glitter. Props to the Fractal guy looking all professional. Well, you know, it's funny because he was asking if he was overdressed, to which...
I didn't really listen. Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought this was going to be professional. My bad.
No.
What would you say to a friend who says power supplies are a lie and all the power goes raw to your components? Slick, why don't you handle that one?
Maybe just don't be friends with him anymore. Maybe that has to, like, you have to draw a line somewhere. And maybe it has to be a logical
Like, it's
line.
one thing if he plays Black Ops Night and Day on a PS3 and, has, like, the special PlayStation 3 monitor that is somehow special from the other monitors.
And then it's another thing if he thinks you want to plug, like, individual cables to each one of your components from the wall. That's just...
You could do that once.
I've actually met people like that. Who think that power bars are like bad and you have to plug each component separately to the wall. Although I think my personal favorite, this was, hopefully my mother-in-law isn't watching, because one of my favorites was, that little LED light on power bars?
Yeah.
Yeah, she would insist on not only turning off all of the electronics, but also switching off the power bar to preserve the electricity that was being consumed powering
From the
light.
high wattage LED that's on there.
And it's not even just like, okay, and I know some devices, like they'll draw power at idle. We know this. And so everything would be unplugged from the power bar. It still needed to be turned off to conserve the power.
When I was in college, actually my business partner at the time, typical geek setup, LEDs flashing everywhere up, all kinds of devices. And then on the smoke alarm on the ceiling, he had a piece of black tape over the one LED. I'm like, it looks like the New York City skyline over there. You can sleep with that. But that one LED on the smoke alarm is killing you for some reason.
That's fantastic.
Oh, nerds. How we are so like you, and yet we make fun of you. Gigabit Ethernet. How much would you pay per month? This is actually a good question. How much would you pay per month for gigabit up down, like Google, whatever it's called, Google Fiber?
Google Fiber.
$11.
$11. Perfect. Thank you. How much would you pay? Were you gonna say the exact? You guys are you guys like a bunch of Tolkien fans around here?
No, we're just awesome by
He
nature.
does that, doesn't he?
11?
Yeah, he's whatever. The Hobbit is 11 something.
11T or 11
Well, it's kind of similar.
It's 111 something. I don't remember what it is, but it's 100 and something.
111 something. I
Yeah,
thought.
yeah.
Okay,
Something
well,
like
whatever. How much would you pay for Google Fiber?
$11.
11. Okay, well, I'm going to actually give a useful answer. Probably I wouldn't pay that much more than the internet plans that are available now. So in my area, you can get 250 down, 15 up for around $120 a month. So I'd say if I was going to get that kind of an up speed, I would probably pay 200 to 250, but I wouldn't want it to start creeping up into the same class as business tier internet service
I would like it
plans.
to be available so that hopefully it would be cheaper, but I wouldn't pay that much.
You wouldn't. How much? Okay, then why don't you give a real answer?
I don't know, but not $250 a month.
Okay,
That's like enough insurance to put a car on the road.
that's true. Where can we go to watch your live stream? Good question. If you're not watching it, then you're not going to hear this answer. Twitch.tv/LinusTech. All right, let's see if we have any. Hey! We got Paul from Newegg. Tell Josh it was 29C in Southern California today.
Hey,
See you
Paul.
next week. So really, we're just a stopover for you on the way to go visit Newegg
Oh,
TV.
it's a publicity tour. This should be a shout out to Logan, right? Just the fact that I'm wearing like a sport coat. Now here's the other thing. Degrees Celsius, I understand. Like, so I'm from the States, but I understand that when it comes to processors. But when I got in the rental car and I'm trying to set the temperature, and I'm like, is 18 good, or do I want to be at 12 or 26? 26 is good, and then I'm sweating bullets. Yeah, it was throwing me off.
26 is a little hot for the car.
Yeah, it is. It is actually. You know, it's not that cold up here.
And then that gets you all sweaty so that when you arrive here, you get to walk into our garage, which is not warm.
And then it starts to freeze.
Yeah.
So there's a whole phase change thing going on right here.
So what do you got going on with Newegg TV? I'm curious. Or is that one of the things you can't talk about?
Well,
Top secret. Give away all of
super
Paul's...
top secret. Hey, never said I was going directly to Newegg TV, but I might be in that general area. Little secret agent thing. I can neither confirm nor deny that I might be in LA sometime in the next 2 to 3 years.
Thank you for that. This guy's just evasive. We just shouldn't ask him anything.
It's working. Yes.
Do you know of any problems with YouTube today? Sorry, I don't.
There are probably problems with YouTube today because it's YouTube.
Yeah,
Oh,
probably.
and you skip over that one.
Hi, here we go. Adam S. says, Josh, the R4 changed my life. Also, the Note is amazing. How would you like to address that?
You're amazing. That's awesome. Yeah, that's what we do. I mean, honestly, like when we make this stuff, it's awesome to hear that because believe it or not, a lot of work goes into designing a case. It's very hard to differentiate on such a standard platform.
This is actually a great discussion topic. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the process that Fractal and probably any case manufacturer goes through to bring something to market?
So, you know, there's multiple stages that it goes through. I mean, the first thing's always listening, right? You want to hear what everybody wants. And the difficult thing about
This
making...
is my listening face.
Yeah, I can tell. Yeah, so the difficult thing about making a case, or making any product for that matter, is you basically have to appease as many people as possible and knowing that you're probably going to alienate some. It'd be like 20 people trying to order one pizza, right? You can't go, everybody want crust? Okay, yeah, we're good with that. Everybody want sauce? We're good with that. Pepperoni? No? Okay. Cheese? No? Okay. So you kind of have to look at
Wait,
what...
so to be clear, your pizza has sauce and crust but no cheese? Did I
No, it
mishear
has
that?
cheese, but no pepperoni.
Ah, okay.
You need to follow. You need to focus. But yeah, so I mean, there's a lot of it that goes through it. There's a lot of internal back and forth and getting input from people, and you know, and then also we kind of go out to experts in the industry, other experts in the industry.
They never asked me anything.
Yeah, it's okay because we know what the answer is going to be, you know. But you know, it's very much taking feedback, and that's why you see like an R4, and there was an R3 before that, and an R2. It's like each one of those is an evolution. We've taken feedback in, and same thing with the XLR2. We moved away from the thermal chamber design, and we caught some flack for it from some people, and then we had other people like, oh, thank God, this is exactly what I wanted. I wanted a big open case. I wanted plenty of room to mount water cooling gear. So. And then you go into prototyping, and then you go into getting your first batch run and making sure everything's right.
Tell us about the prototyping process. I mean, just so they have some context, you don't have to give an exact number, but to get the first case back, the first physical case, You can give me a huge range, like it could, be like, enormous range, but give me some kind of a range. What does it actually cost a manufacturer to get that first case that doesn't even look right and doesn't fit together properly?
Yeah, there's not an exact dollar amount because it's kind of amortized over the whole production cost. So basically it's built into the fact that you're going to be making 11 of these,
Yeah.
right?
Exactly.
So, but to give you an idea sometimes of like how special it is, like sometimes we'll fly someone to the factory and it'll come back in the seat next to them on the plane. Because you want to make sure that like, okay, this is what came off. Is everything right? You don't want to be like, okay, first production sample, ship it out. And then it's like, oh, that's what Brown did for me. It just totally trashed the production sample, and now it set us back 4 weeks. So
Right. Not only that, but I mean, with the communication with the factory, you could have something like, oh, no, it was fine before we sent it.
yeah, exactly.
We don't have to redo that.
Yeah, no, it's perfect. It was flat when we sent it. That's just how we did it. But yeah, it's very much a very tricky process, and then you have to. It'll be the little things that'll get you too. Things that aren't really revolutionary. That there's so many things to check on a case because physically it's a large object, right? So it's like, are all the bends right? All the creases right? Do all the panels fit right? And something as small as making panels fit can be, okay, it's the radius of the bend, it's the type of metal that you use.
Well, Silverstone never got it figured out with a case like the TJ07, where every TJ07 actually has side panels that are fitted to it.
Mm-hmm.
And they haven't actually managed to make, because you can't necessarily take the panels off one TJ07 and put them on another one. So that should give you guys some idea how tricky that might actually be.
Yeah.
And then you add sound deadening material to it and mass production to it.
Yeah, and everything has to be, a lot of times we'll get stuff like, why don't you add this, why don't you add this, why don't you add that? And it's like, everything does add to the cost of the case. So again, we're always trying to hit a good value point. So we want to try and offer as many features as possible without breaking the bank for a lot of people. So we try and go with the key features that we think are important. And our Facebook page, we get tons of input from our fans all the time about, hey, I like this. Could you change this? Could you do that? And believe it or not, as hokey as it sounds, all that does make it back to our production team. So we do take everything back.
All right, we do have a couple of questions from the forum thread. So I've got one guy who's asking a couple of things. So why move the reset switch to the top of the R4 instead of being covered by the door? And his other actually here, I'll give you that question first. So what's the reasoning behind that?
Thank you, by the way.
Okay.
Yeah, see, there you go.
So there's the answer, right? We do take feedback, and we look at the overall feedback. If we get like 85% feedback on something, and we'll say, okay, as much as we thought it was a good idea to begin with, maybe that's not where the industry's at now, or at the very least, if our customers are talking, we want to listen. So we had strong feedback that people wanted it on the top of the case. So there you go.
Okay, Demos asks from the forum threads. Guys, there's a forum thread in the cases and power supplies section on linustechtips.com where we had taken questions for Josh from last week's live stream. Would switching from a Fractal Arc MIDI to a Define R4 bring about a significant noise reduction?
Yes. There you go. Yeah,
Okay.
you're moving into our silent case. So there's going to be a couple different things going on there. You're going to have the sound deadening capabilities of the insulation material, the bitumen that we have. And then you're also going to have the Moduvent blocks for the fan vents that you're not using. So you can actually block off the vent so sound's not escaping from there.
All right, so future lives, let's go to some Twitter questions here. Future live stream guest suggestion, Alex from MSI. He seems funnier than the Fractal guy.
That is entirely possible.
You know Alex, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I think Alex is funnier than you.
I get that all the time.
Okay, Josh, what is your favorite Fractal design case?
Personally, Arc MIDI R2.
Why?
It's just so awesome. I mean, I've always been more of like a high performance, computer enthusiast. So for me, I like the flexibility with it. Although the XLR2 does have a lot of options for liquid cooling, so those two are the top. But probably Arc MIDI R2.
So tell us a little bit about the kinds of systems that Biohazard used to build. You say that you know a little thing or two about high performance. So what was the price range?
The average sales price was in the $8,000 to $12,000 range. So go ahead and start flaming me right now for being overpriced and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I'm
you
used
suck.
to it. I'm used to it. Yeah. But what we did is, we focused a lot on liquid cooling and high performance cooling. So we did everything from air cooling to liquid. We played with Tex and Pelts for a while, and then we got into phase change, and then we had one of the only multi-evaporator phase change systems on the market. So Basically, it's just very high-end custom stuff. Most of our stuff was one-offs, and it'd be, you know, I guess bleeding-edge hardware. Because if you're spending that much money, why not, right?
Right. Okay, here we go. How does Swedish design contribute to Fractal's approach to cases? So why isn't it missing one screw when you try to put it together? I guess is the question he's trying to ask.
Yeah, exactly. We're in all our instructions and pictures and stuff like that, and it's shipped flat. No, yeah, so where it really comes in is a lot of the design cues, the visual design. I mean, you know, the fact that design is part of our name shows how much we focus on that. It's going to be much more minimalistic. You know, we obviously have, I guess, more of a subdued appearance than some cases out there. And it's not saying that the other ones are bad. It's just that you're going to see people gravitate towards different things. What I liked when I first got into the PC industry is not exactly what I like right now. So, yeah, you see a lot more in the design, the white and the black and that sort of thing.
What case is your personal computer in?
My personal computer is in an R4.
Is it?
Yes.
Really?
Yes, why?
I would have expected you to have a case that is more water cooling friendly. Do you not water cool anymore?
So, no, I don't.
Really?
Because I do not have the time. And, you know, liquid cooling is so awesome until something goes wrong and you start getting that drip and that little puddle sitting on your video card and you're like, oh, crap.
Well, you know, ASUS had that, I think they had a couple motherboards that allowed you to individually turn off the PCIe slots for diagnostics. Mm-hmm. So I think it was about a $450 board or something like that. So you're trying to tell me you don't have one of those then?
No, I don't. Because my computer at home, so actually I have multiple, right? Because just like you, I don't know if they can see it, but you got, you know, computers all over the place. Same sort of thing. It's like, I have a media center PC in my bedroom. How lame is that? You know, so I can Netflix stream. Yeah. And a wife that puts up with it, which is, you know, probably even better.
That's like half the battle.
Yeah, that's like
3/4
of the
it,
battle. Yeah. It's
You
like
wouldn't know.
Yeah, we have all the toys that we're allowed to have is basically what it boils down to. So yeah.
What's the spec of your personal rig? Find any time for gaming anymore?
Yes, sometime. It's usually switching. Right now though, it's old. It's 2500K, and I'm running 27970s.
Yeah, that's really old. That's really crappy.
Older. Now, some parts of it are old, you know, and some parts of it are...
Yeah, the Define R4 is really old. When was that released? A month ago?
No, actually July 20th, roughly.
Oh. Why don't I have one yet?
Because I saw your unboxing video on it.
Ah. Okay, then.
Shucks.
That makes sense.
Speaking of gaming, we were talking about Assassin's Creed 3 at our office today. Or Assassin's Creed 4, Black Flag. What's your favorite game series or game?
So, game, series, franchises, whatever. So Hitman, awesome. Absolution kind of lost me a little bit. Bioshock, I'm looking forward to Infinite. And then Assassin's...
Really?
Yes.
Bioshock 2 was so bad.
Yes, but you know,
Did you play it?
Yes.
How far in did you get?
I actually finished it.
No!
Unlike Crisis, or unlike, was it the original Crisis? I didn't finish that.
You didn't finish
No.
The original Crisis wasn't bad.
Well,
I mean,
when it went all aliens
all
and
the
stuff,
aliens
and then
came
it was
in.
like, okay, they jumped the shark, you know.
I know, okay, the alien bit wasn't actually a lot of fun, but I didn't mind, I know a lot of people complained about the carrier bit at the end. I didn't mind it, where you fight, I mean, it was really hard and I died a lot, but it was just, like, a final boss fight is supposed to be difficult.
Yeah, exactly, right.
So I don't actually have a problem with that, but, okay, fine, whatever.
The skill
Talk
the
about your
easy
other
level on how, if Linus can beat it or not. If it takes him about 4 or 5 times, that's the easy level.
Thank you.
Yeah,
You know what?
You're glad for punishment.
He's never actually played games with
I
me, so
have.
he doesn't...
I played you in Battlefield 3.
Okay, but I don't play Battlefield. Okay, whatever, man.
But yeah, so Assassin's Creed, though, yeah, that's always been a favorite franchise there.
Yeah, me too.
You know, the best thing is, like, you know, if you can't get past a certain area or whatever, and you get so pissed off.
You can
like,
just hit the easy button? Is that it, you guys?
No, then you just go, like, knife a civilian until you desync.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
it's like, just take out your aggression on somebody else, you know?
Okay, speaking of the Crysis series, so you're running a 2500K. You've been keeping up with the Intel AMD ARMS race. Have you seen the PS4 specs?
No, because I saw all the negative publicity from everybody that watched the announcement and everything like that.
I actually didn't watch the announcement.
No
Yeah.
pictures of the actual system.
Yeah, I heard it was just terrible.
Yeah, well, the controller was it. I think that's all they showed.
Pretty
And
much.
the controller just looks like some kind of weird, like, space age 6-axis. And you're just kind of
It's
like,
like a 6-axis, but slap a touchscreen right in the middle.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah.
Victory.
So, okay, so if you could have the perfect, what do you think is missing from PC games that, and sort of, I'm going somewhere with this. So the PS4 has an x86 multi-core processor. So it's going to be as close to a PC as we've been since probably the original Xbox. Because it's got an AMD Radeon class graphics card, it's got a bunch of GDDR5, it's got an x86 processor in it made by AMD. So no funny power cell nonsense, none of that. What do you hope that this affects? And I'll let you answer this one too, because I don't know if you weighed in last time. What do you hope this affects for PC gaming? Because do you own a console?
Yeah, I own an Xbox 360 Kinect, and that's mainly for my kids.
Right, okay, so about right then.
Yeah, exactly. Like you, like I think I've played it maybe like 3 times, unless I'm doing like Wii Dance 2 or something, you know, rocking out to
Yeah, by the way,
Kids Dance.
Wii Dance actually isn't for Xbox 360.
Not
but-
Wii Dance, like WE Dance. I can't remember what it is. You know. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, the thing is, like, I'm such a PC gamer that it's hard for consoles to excite me. You know, I look at it's like, you know, flash in the pan is going to be good for the first year, and then it gets eclipsed.
Right.
You know, and then it's like, for the first year, you're going to hear all the crap about, oh, PC game's dead, look at the graphics, look at this, look at that. And it's like, yeah, that's good. And then year 2 rolls around, and it's like, it's still holding its own pretty good. And year 3 rolls around, it's like, okay, yeah, it's starting to look like crap.
Okay, so tell him the news that you told me the other night. That's actually just freaking amazing.
One thing, personally, I'm vicariously happy for console gamers. They can finally get something that doesn't look like poo, because it's been a really long time.
Yeah.
But companies like Ubisoft are basically going, oh, we're sorry, PC gamers, that we've just like been porting you crap for years.
Yes.
Now that everything is x86 based, we're going to be developing for PC and porting down.
Awesome.
So that is just kind of fantastic.
Which, as much as I love the Assassin's Creed franchise, it's like, okay, why do I have to wait 3 months after the console launch date for a port?
That, which is horrible, and it sucks waiting, and then I just played on my PC with the controller anyways, because the controls for keyboard and mouse are just so whacked out and weird.
What was it, like, Revelations or whatever, they still pop up like the icons
Yeah.
from like the
It's like,
console
yeah,
game. And I'm
press
like, what is that?
press
Is that
X
a
to-
TW? What the? Yeah, you're trying to hit it. You don't know what's going on. Yeah.
It's like, how much work would it have been to just have like the game actually check and see what the key binding is before telling me to press something?
It's
Yeah, it's
a
like,
lot
can
of
you
work.
do me the common decency of just lying to me for a little bit and make it seem like you developed this from the ground up, or at least didn't last minute port it?
It gets
So-
ugly, but yeah, and like it's not just Ubisoft too, but at least
Yeah.
there's now a company, and like, okay, they're saying it now that it's easy, but like hopefully everyone's gonna try and take this angle now where you develop first for PC and then chop down and port down.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're also saying like Watch Dogs, which is coming out soon. It's coming out on PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, and PC, and I think Xbox maybe 2 or whatever, but I'm just giving that scale because that's the one that matters for this story. PlayStation 3 is a chopped down version. If you play it on PlayStation 3 versus PlayStation 4, there's way more objects in the game.
Gotcha.
There's way more everything in the game. Graphically, it looks way better. There's way more stuff. It's just great. And then they haven't mentioned anything about PC directly, but I'm assuming it's the PlayStation 4 level.
That should be the PlayStation, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the other thing that excites me, because I mean, we've pretty much gotten to the limit in terms of how far we can push a single core on a CPU. I mean, both AMD and Intel have basically just gone, yeah, we don't care anymore. Let's add more cores to them because it's way more power efficient. And other platforms are going to push that trend as well, because on things like tablets or game consoles, all of a sudden power consumption and cooling is like way more important than it is on a desktop PC where you got all this like space, because you're
yeah.
spending $8,000, so the tower better be like the size of a grown man, right?
Or half grown.
Or half, yes, thank you for that. So, multi-core optimizations are one of the things that I think is really exciting about seeing an x86 CPU inside a next-generation console, because all of a sudden, we won't have to rely on proprietary technologies like NVIDIA PhysX, because that, to me, is the holy grail of a truly next-generation game, where glass behaves like glass, not because it's scripted to behave like glass, but because it has all the attributes and properties of glass and therefore behaves
Well, you
like
can do splash damage, right? Legitimate splash damage.
legitimate splash damage. People could get cut by the glass. I mean,
Yeah.
that would be truly
Yeah, you
different.
blow in a wall and it's the bullet doesn't take you out. It's the brick flying in
Yeah,
from RPG or something like that.
Right, exactly. Where you could actually make it an integral part of gameplay because we have the CPU power for it. Some rudimentary stuff anyway.
Well, like back when when a Geo was around, they always call it like a physics kill, right? Like if you could, do something like that and hit a brick and you like chop a tree down, then it falls on the hut.
But it was
hits the
always
guy in the
like,
hut.
okay, I'm 2 feet away from it and I died, or it's like I'm directly under it and get completely clobbered and you just somehow survive.
Like,
Like
it
it
only
was-
hit my ankle. I'm good. I'm gonna walk it off.
Yeah.
And it's always been kind of kludgy.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like games where they've implemented it, it's like, I mean, that's the thing that sort of kills me about PhysX is that the other platforms are not ready, so it's never going to be implemented in a way that's really compelling. Because I would love, I mean, that and then VR
Yeah. Oh, Oculus Rift with physics,
would be,
with like that level of physics, is just going to be absolutely fantastic.
yeah. So, while we're all just kind of sitting here having,
Having our own thing. There's
Yeah.
a camera on. What?
I guess, yeah, we could sort of see if anyone has anything to. You guys should invite again. Wow, look at this. The first thing people want to talk about when we bring you on as a guest is all the other people we should invite.
I know. I'm setting the bar so low, but I'm doing that for you.
For the Fractal Guide, do you guys offer modded parts like the panels I painted? Probably not, I would think. But hey, that looks pretty good.
Yeah, it looks like the mesh. Anything out, we're always looking at doing new stuff, and some things may or may not be in the works. Is that vague enough?
That's vague enough.
Vague, okay.
All right, we already have. I think that's sort of a scary topic. 30-inch monitors, 5x1 portrait or 3x1 landscape. Pros and cons.
Portrait looks kind of cool in pictures, but then you have like if you talk about bezel space, like dead space for bezel space, if you look in those pictures and pay attention, there's like chunk, 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 chunk all along your now landscape level.
Have
view.
you ever gamed in 5x1 portrait?
Limited, but yes.
What would you say about the experience?
Yeah, I did not thoroughly enjoy it. I would definitely go with like 3x1 landscape personally.
Yeah, I'm going to have to say the same thing. We actually did an NCIX Tech Tips on 5x1 portrait, and bezels were a definite issue. The other issue was game support. That is a weird resolution. Like,
Yeah, isn't there like a website like Widescreen Gaming or something like that like has all the hacks to where you can like...
he had never heard of that before.
I hadn't.
Really?
And even then, there's fairly popular titles, like Skyrim, for example, does not support surround. Period.
Yeah.
Even like normal surround, 3x1080, does not support it. So if you're so you're going to take that subset of games that work with surround, and you're going to get a subset of games that work with your weird surround.
Well, the problem is a lot of people don't have the money. Like I never knew about widescreen gaming because I had one monitor. So
Yeah.
it never really mattered. And I
Yeah.
had a square monitor for so long. Like
Yeah, he wasn't cool. He didn't adopt widescreen early on like I did with my Acer 1916W.
blinging.
Do you remember that monitor?
Yeah.
It was cheap. It was $200. It was 1440 by 900 or some stupid resolution like that, where it was actually like it was too small vertically to be useful for anything.
Yeah. It's like Lamar Burton's...
Yeah. It was basically like that, and then it was VGA only, which meant like awesome image quality.
Yeah, exactly. 8-bit. Well,
Yeah.
to kick it back real far for you, so like back when I was at Biohazard, we had...
You're old, hey?
I know. We had actually one of the first 30-inch displays at 2560 by 1600. Because if you remember when they first came out, it was like Dell and Apple.
Yeah.
Dell and Apple were the only two
was
that
it.
had it. And then Samsung came out with one, and they're gracious enough to let us use it for CES. And it was like, back then, like all the system integrators were freaking out, like, thank God I don't have to buy a Dell monitor. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but like, when you have your own branded system, the last thing you want to be is like, and Dell.
Yeah.
And Apple.
Yeah. And my competitors. Next time, buy from them.
Was that really? That was it? That was where you?
Yeah, that was it. And then the awkward pause.
I'm beginning to think you're doing this on purpose.
What? No. It's got to be a production quality thing.
All right, so you guys should invite a game developer guy. Yeah. I hope people realize they can play all their Xbox and PlayStation games on PC in the future. Okay, we're not talking about emulation. This is not a. We're not talking about emulators. What do you think of revolutionary case designs like Silverstone's 90 Degrees, like the Fortress and the TJ11?
That's been around.
Yeah, it's been around for a while, but I mean, does the ATX form factor need a shakeup, or was BTX's failure all the proof we really needed that it doesn't?
Yeah, so and we dealt with BTX back on as a system integrator. I mean, it's...
Hold on, history lesson, guys, sorry. BTX was a standard from Intel that instead of having a standard power supply top, motherboard with the CPU here, the RAM here, and the slots here with the coolers facing down, that's ATX. BTX basically took that, and then it had standards for the CPU being located closer to the center and then having intake specifically positioned over it. So sorry, go ahead. So you dealt with that as a system
Yeah,
integrator?
but the problem there was like that heat pipes on like north bridges and stuff weren't wicked. They were designed to work in the standard ATX form factor, so when you'd flip them over, all of a sudden it wouldn't work because it's gravity fed. But so that's just one of the issues. The thing is like with I guess what you call like revolutionary designs.
Get it? Revolutionary?
Yeah, you got to revolve it. The thing is, personally, for me,
That's what he
as
meant.
long as it's done for like a legitimate reason, that makes sense. But if you're doing it just to do something different, then I think that pans out pretty quickly. It's good to have change. Some things like, okay, so small form factor used to be like really hot for like a year and a half when it first came out. But like way back in my day, there was like no performance hardware that small. And the cases were so cramped. And then now you see, like, for example, like our Node 304 and other mini ITX cases, you can get a pretty impressive system slammed into a small case. But it still comes down to like a usage scenario thing, right? Like some people, it's like, I don't care, I still want a full tower, and some people like, I want to build the fastest system I can in like the smallest possible footprint.
Okay, what about the argument that I should build an ITX machine such as a Node 304 or a BitPhoenix Prodigy or something in that sort of size class? What about the argument that I should build something like that for LAN gaming?
Okay, so, it makes sense, for transportation portability. Obviously, we have a lot of people that buy them for that reason. But if you go to your local LANs, though, I think you see just as many people. Like, when we were at Netware LANs, we saw, I think a couple XLs and, you see not 800Ds and stuff like that. So it's like...
Yeah, lots of 800Ds at LANs.
Yeah, there's just as many, gamers out there that want to run a full tower because, to them it's like, 29 days of the month I'm sitting next to my desk. And that's one of the things like, okay, so here, let me spin this into talking about myself. Like the XL, right? The Define XL and now the XLR2 are heavier cases because they're big and they're made out of steel. And the thing was, when I was a system integrator, we'd always get told that company X or Y had such light cases. And it's like, okay, good for you. Now fill it full of gear and how light is it? It's like, empty, okay, it's half the weight of this other case. Full, it's 5 pounds less at a 50-pound mark, so it's not as much of a big push.
I see.
So it's kind of, you have to look at it inside the product envelope of how's it going to be used in the usage scenario.
Although there are extreme examples. I mean, your brother has a modded out Cosmos R2. What does that thing weigh?
It's like 110 pounds or something. I'd have to get the actual weight from him. But he put a crossbar on it, and the running joke is he's the only person who can pick it up. Realistically, like I can pick it up, but I'm like, oh god. He can kind of just beast mode it, pick it up, and walk around. So the idea is, if he goes to a LAN, he can just put it wherever, and it's not a big deal because no one can steal it.
Right. Okay.
They do like a bobsled team of like 4 people to come and.
But it'd be so awesome if he like at the LAN put like a Kensington lock on it to the table, like just in case. He has to dragging the whole table with it.
Would the Kensington lock hold up? That is the real question here.
That'd be hang it from the ceiling, just don't sit underneath it, That'd be a stress test. Probably pull the whole ceiling down though, like the Raptors that come
Oh,
in.
that thing is so heavy. Honestly, I had trouble moving Cosmos 2 around without anything in it, and part of it is the weight. It weighs 50 pounds, but the reality of it is, I can take a 30-pound case, fill it full of hardware to the point where it weighs 50 pounds, I can move that around no problem. Part of the problem with the Cosmos 2 is it's my entire wingspan large, so I can't really, get it. And in the box, did I show you how close it was to not fitting in the trunk of my car?
Yeah, yeah.
Like you have to actually borrow a minivan to buy one.
And like we water cooled it. There's a couple hard drives in there. Like it's not.
Hard drives add up fast, hey?
That's why I mentioned it. They add up real quick.
Like even something like a Node 304 or an Array R2. I remember I loaded up an Array R2, which is their older 6-drive ITX chassis, and I put 6 hard drives in it. I was like, oh.
Yeah, it gets pretty beefy pretty quick.
Yeah. These things are ridiculous. Should just do away with them and use only SSDs.
Get right on that.
That's what I do.
Yeah. Well,
Popping geek tags again.
yeah, exactly. Popping geek tags. No thrift shop for Linus, you know.
I'm a bit disappointed with Sony's big controller redesign. Okay. Should have replaced the
there's
D-pad
one.
with a rubber touchpad. Ooh, I don't know about that. Here's a controversial one. Is this on the
Calling
list of-
out. Yeah. Was Biohazard better than Voodoo PC? So here's the deal.
Raul might be watching. He's
Yeah.
actually a big Linus Tech Tips fan.
Yeah, and I know Raul, so if you are, hey Raul, what's up? Not better, different. So that sounds like...
Oh, come on.
No, but listen.
Don't
hear me
cop out on this one.
Here, you have to be this tall to give me crap, okay? So here's the thing.
I'm that tall.
Okay, you want me to see it?
No.
But yeah, so here's the thing. You know, back when I was doing it, it was actually awesome. Like, there was mutual respect between all of the high-end boutique guys, whether it was Raul at Voodoo, Kelt at Falcon, Wallace at Main Gear, AL when he was at Hypersonic, Mario when he was at Overdrive. I mean, like, we all knew each other. We'd all go to these events and hang out together. And it was kind of like, it was almost like a car club thing. Like, hey, man, I wouldn't have chosen to do a Nova, but you did it pretty awesome. I'd choose to do something else. So there's always this mutual respect of, like, you know, I like what you do. I just choose to do mine this way.
Yeah.
And then the thing is, like, when new technology would come out, we'd actually talk to each other, like, hey, are you planning on using this? Because I don't want to snipe it if you're using it. Or I remember we started using, like a version like Icy Docs back in the day, like the hot swap drives. And Mario from Overdrive was using them at the time. So I call him up, I'm like, hey, dude, we have a customer that wants these. We're thinking about running with them, but I know you started using them first. Are you cool with that? And he's like, yeah, no problem. I mean, but it was the fact that, like, we weren't trying to snipe each other. It wasn't this cutthroat industry. It was just like, you know, like a guys club. It
The
was
car
awesome.
show was a good analogy.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like we have mutual respect. Maybe I wouldn't have gone with that one, but, you know, more power to you.
Yeah.
So that's the answer. It was just different. You know, we went more with, like, a hardcore cooling stance. And, like, you know, Kelt always had, like, really awesome paint jobs at Falcon. I mean, he had some really sick stuff there. And we did some of that, but, you know, I think everybody has to a certain degree. But we each kind of had our niche, and that's what we focused on.
Whereas Voodoo had the gold-plated case.
Yeah, he had a CES. I remember he had the picture of the white gloves, getting it out. I actually saw that at CPU Magazine. I was out there taking one of our systems out, and they had it set up there doing a photo shoot of it. And the one thing that Raul always did really well was, like, the divider plate in the Leanne Lee case that he used was polished, like, so perfectly.
Oh, I know.
It looked like a
awesome.
mirror. I'm like, he's got 2 motherboards in there? What? Okay,
That
that's
looks
a
so
reflection.
good. And then he had the lighting on the bottom.
Yep, and then he had, like, the front etched out with, you know, like the tiki
The
logo
laser
thing.
cut
Yeah.
thing, yeah.
Yeah, so no, it was awesome. But yeah, I mean, like, I've known Raul for years, and, you know, we all still stay in touch. At last CES, I ran into Wallace and the guys from Ingear, so it's just a respect thing, so.
How much did he charge for the gold-plated case? Was it 10 grand or 25
Oh,
grand? I
it was
can't
more
remember.
than that. I think
Was it 25?
it was up there, yeah.
I think
can't remember.
Yeah, it was something along those lines. Do you know if he ever sold any?
I believe he did, like, a one-off. Like, I know at least one of them was, like, a one-off for, like, some prince in Dubai or something. I can't remember, but yeah, I know, it's like, man.
Of course it's a prince in Dubai.
Yeah, or a guy in Jersey. One of the two, I don't know.
The
Just pay
Dubai
him in
Prince,
oil.
if you're watching, let us know if you still have your gold-plated Voodoo.
Yeah.
Or was it made of gold?
No, well, gold would be too malleable.
Yeah.
So it had to be plated. But still, that much plating would be,
And plating aluminum's not easy.
yeah.
That's actually like a thing. Plating aluminum with gold. I tried to have
It's like alchemy.
well, yeah, sort of. Oh, here, these. So I have some Mushkin copper heads here that I tried to have the top pieces because I thought they were brass.
Yeah.
So I tried to have these gold plated to go along with my gold plated Apogee HD water block. And they told me when we thought
Popping
it
nerd
was
tags again. Just popping nerd tags. But go for it.
when we thought it was brass, it was going to be
Yeah.
no problem. But as soon as they found out it was aluminum, they said actually it's much more challenging and much more of a problem.
Yeah, I'm sure it'd be like a more chemical process. Yeah.
Yeah. Involving like chemists and
Stuff that we don't know.
stuff that we don't understand at all. So actually going back to our topic with multi-core gaming a little bit. So Crysis 3, the rumor on the street, and we've actually done some testing. I'll probably let you talk about that a little bit. Crysis 3, the rumor is, runs better on AMD 830, 8350 FX versus the 3570K. Remember, these are equivalently priced processors. The difference being that the 3570K is cut down and does not have hyperthreading compared to the 3770K, and the 8350 is AMD's flagship FX series processor and has 8 physical cores. Well, like, sort of like 4 plus half of 4 kind of, you know, bulldozer modules. 4 bulldozer modules, which are each sort of 1.5 actual physical cores.
It's a lot of math.
Slick, are you ready to talk?
I don't remember my actual numbers.
You don't remember the actual numbers,
I'm
okay.
looking at my numbers.
Well, at any rate, we actually did test these. We ran them with GeForce GTX Titan. Wait, no, we didn't. We ran them with the 660 Ti, right?
With the Titan, it was 8350 versus 3770K.
Ah, that's right. Okay, so with the Titan, we ran 3770K versus 8350. So that's the hyper-threaded one versus the 8350, and the 3770K kind of ran away with that one, right?
Yes.
Yes. So in that case, it looks like Crysis 3 is heavily multi-core optimized, but when we tried 3570K versus 8350 with the GTX 660 Ti, which is a much more reasonable class of video card that many more gamers are running. I mean, Titans cost $1,000, which I guess means nothing to you, Mr. $8,000 computers and all that.
Yeah, I've got 3 of them sitting on the dashboard of my car right now.
Yeah,
That's just how I do.
No big deal.
like,
Yeah, just make it rain. Make it rain Titans up in here.
so running with a much more realistic card, we actually ran into a situation where, what were the numbers?
The averages are very similar.
The averages were very similar, but when we hit one intensive spot, and actually in our video review, which is coming out soon, I think we said it looked like a blip, but we've rerun it since then and validated it. As the physics effects go crazy, the Intel CPU actually got less bogged down than the AMD CPU. So what it looks like to us is there was an event in the game that wasn't threaded, and that's where the Intel CPU was able to pull ahead. So our minimum frames per second dipped when, what are you doing in that spot?
For anyone who's seen the benchmarking guide, if you haven't, this will hopefully describe it enough. We go from a very calm, literally just walking through a tunnel part of the benchmark to the action part of the benchmark. And I come up to a top of stairs, pull a bow with explosive arrows, and just start hammering at a turret. So there's 3 or 4 guys.
Why would you hammer with a bow and arrow?
There's 3 or 4 guys shooting at me.
He's stupid.
There's a turret going off. I'm blowing the turret up with explosive arrows. I'm moving quickly all at the same time, and you can always feel the whole computer gets really sluggish right when that happens. On almost every platform I've ran it on.
Okay, Slick, I have 2 choices for you.
Oh my God.
Which of these is more appropriate for hammering something? No, you clearly don't know that because, what did you say before? Hold on, let's see if Josh can figure this out. Josh, which is more appropriate?
For hammering?
For hammering, yes.
A turret.
Okay,
Okay.
yes, hammering a turret.
Hammering a turret.
Yeah.
I would still have to go with probably the hammer.
Okay, you're both wrong.
You have a bow and arrow?
Because the only...
But a bow and arrow still has a striking motion.
No, you're both wrong.
A saw does not have a striking
Because
motion.
this is the only tool appropriate for hammering a turret.
You could still hammer with
Hold
that,
on, 10
because it's
points,
still
10 points.
striking.
What am I referring to? What
Not
do you
a-
hammer turrets with wrenches?
Oh.
Did you ever play Team Fortress 2?
No.
Oh, that's disappointing. That was a lot of lead up to...
That was a huge amount of lead up for one, not the greatest point.
Yeah, that joke fell kind of flat, didn't it?
But you invest a lot of time in it, though.
Yeah,
Yeah,
which...
it's A for effort.
Thank you. A for effort with Biohazard. Sorry, are they still in business?
Oh, man, you just got to keep digging on me like that, don't you? Oh, I see how it is. It's going to get real in here pretty quick.
Sorry, were you done?
I don't even know.
Oh
I
yeah,
think
you were
so.
hammering on the turret and then the...
I'm pretty sure I finished while you were being annoying.
Oh, okay, cool.
Which is a long period of time.
Yeah, that could have happened at any point. Okay, so you know what? I'm going to go back to that forum thread called Questions for Josh and see if we can find any other good fractal design questions, because I think we've... some guys from Mexico wants to know how the heck he can buy a fractal design case.
National shipping and
Book a
sales.
flight to the U.S. and pick one up here. No,
And-
we are officially not in Mexico, although we will get tech support calls from Mexico, so it can be done I mean, you know, it'd be oh, okay, how'd you get that? Okay, well, anyway, here's what you do to fix this or fix that. But, yeah, so we're always looking at new markets. I'll put it that way.
There's a great question. What are the complications? Because, I mean, from the layman's perspective, it's as simple as, find a store there, ship them a bunch of cases, and then they sell them. What are the complications?
That's all we got to do?
Yeah, I know,
I should
right?
have done that. So, honestly, a large part of it comes into, like, import tax. You know, you have to validate any market that you want to move into and make sure that there's a customer base there and that it's sustainable. Certain countries will have like a 300% import tax on.
That's all common in South America, correct?
Yeah, yeah. And then so it's like, okay, now all of a sudden your case is 3 times what it was in the States, which is okay as long as everybody else's case is 3 times what it was, you know, because then people are used to paying that. But then if there's like, say, a local manufacturer where they don't have the importation, then there's no way you can possibly compete.
Or if it's a market like South America where it's dominated by low-end parts because everything's so expensive. You know, it's funny because people often, I get messages all the time, why are NCIX's prices so low? They're so low compared to in my country. I wish NCIX could sell to me here. To which I would reply, well, they could, but you're just going to pay it on the tax on the receipt rather than to the retailer itself. And I mean, Europeans often look at the prices on the NCIX and go, oh, the prices
Because you don't
are
have
so
VAT over here and stuff like that.
because we don't have a value add tax. That's what it's called, right? Value add tax? Or
I
something
believe
like that?
so.
I believe
Well,
so.
and then, you know, shipping too, right? It's like, okay, yeah, it's like the price is cheap. You're going to pay just that much in shipping
That's
to get
right.
it there. And then, you know, then you have import duties too. It's like, can you please ship it to me, mark it as gift? It's, yeah, no, sorry,
No.
business can't do that. you know?
Yeah, that's a big,
Well,
big
and the other thing
problem.
is there's, you know, there's different desires in different regions. I mean, if you look at probably, you know, some of our most popular cases in the U.S. are not always the most popular versions in Europe or other parts of the world. So there's definitely different tastes in different regions and things
Well,
like
I remember
that.
there was a big disparity back when you were telling me that Arc MIDI was way more popular than one of the other cases that NCIX was outselling Arc MIDI with 5 to 1. And I mean, that is something where you can have a difference like that across a border like U.S. Canada.
Yeah.
Where the needs are pretty similar. I mean, tell me the weirdest one that you've seen. Like a territory that for some reason has a huge appetite for a particular case that's not popular somewhere else or less popular.
Like we've had, you know, I guess I don't want to call any specific regions because they're all different. I'm not sure if I remember correctly, but there's one of the European regions where it's like, for example, the Core 1000 was doing okay, and then like the Define XL, like they just didn't like it. And then like over here, the Define XL had always been like one of our top 4 cases, and like the sales figures, it was just like staggering. It's like you would think that just by like, you know, normal aggregate sales, you'd get more than what you're getting on that one. But then, you know, they'd have another case that here did okay, and over there it was just like you couldn't find them on the shelves there. They were gone so quick. So
It's interesting how different brand choices and even individual, like not within brands, different
Yeah.
choices that happen, it just region to region. Especially on forums, you'll find like, oh wow, people in say Germany like this like crazy silence optimized case that just doesn't really sell in North America.
well, and you know, one of the unique things too is just if you look at the usage habits of people in different regions. Like I know Liquid Coin's always been very popular in Europe. Like
Yeah, I mean, they have entire companies over there that I used to product manage water cooling at NCIX. I'd try to bring in these product lines. I couldn't sell a single unit. I'd have to give them away. I'd have to sell them at a loss. And yet these are huge companies in Europe selling tons of
yeah, and usually
gear.
it's like it's fairly expensive gear because it's pretty high end. You know, it's refined and stuff.
And
over
it's
there.
manufactured in Europe a lot of the time
Yeah,
as well.
which is
Guys
even
like
more
MIPS.
costly. Yeah.
Yep.
You know, so what you look at is you see that and you see it's like it's a different culture, at least as far as the usage scenario goes. So you have guys that like their whole thing is setting up a custom liquid cooling loop. And then like in the States, it's popular, but it seems like it's not as popular to go the full custom loop route. I think that's why you see like the self-contained liquid coolers are really popular.
A lot of
because-
H100s.
Yeah, because the thing is, it's like at the end of the day, it's like you can set this really, you know, awesome liquid cooling loop, and then you fire up the pump, start priming the tubes and everything, and then drip, drip, drip. So then you got to go and try and tighten everything down, and it's...
You must not be very good at water cooling.
No, I'm not. I didn't even have a business that already did it. But, you know, it's like... So, you know, the thing is, like, you'll do that, or it's like, you know, you go to do a computer upgrade, right? It's like, you know, because usually if you tend to be a liquid cooling guy, you're kind of like an early adopter, or at least you're into tech, and it's like,
Yep.
I'm going to cool a liquid card for the next 4 months.
And then the best part is when you get that new card and it ends up having some kind of an issue, and then you end up wanting to swap to the red or the green team solution, and so you actually end up changing it more often than every upgrade cycle. Oh crap! Well, one card wasn't good enough. I need two, so I guess I better drain and redo the whole thing. I mean, honestly, part of the reason that my personal rig has taken so long is that everything I do is not like where I put my cutouts in the motherboard tray is not based on the motherboard I'm using now. It's based on what could I possibly foresee happening such that I wouldn't have to redo this.
By the time you're done, it's going to be a bunch of zip ties holding the motherboard up because you're going to Swiss cheese your motherboard tray so bad, you know? It's got no rigidity. Do not look at the case too hard.
Yeah, well, no, what I'm hoping is that the motherboard will actually support the motherboard tray.
It's a balancing act. Do not breathe on the system.
Really good question. Will the sound dampening on an R4 adequately block the high-pitched sound frequency of a D5 pump on setting 5?
Okay, so that's a very specific question.
Yep.
Yeah, it depends. It depends on placement. So I met with Mike Chen from Silent PC Review this morning. We were talking. Well, basically, he was talking, and I was just sitting there slack-jawed trying to understand all the stuff that he was spouting about, you know, sound waves and things like that, because that's where he's very good. But yeah, generally what you're looking at when you come from like a sound deadening principle, and kind of the way we do what we do is there's like echo canceling, and then there's like sound deadening. Like when you see like the soft eggshell foam like inside recording studios, that's not sound deadening. That's designed to like mitigate echoing.
Disperse sound.
Yeah, so like I saw a blog where they explained it very well, where it's basically like if you went to like a racquetball court, you know, hard walls everywhere, take like a handful of like high bounce balls and just chuck them. They're going to bounce around forever, right? Now if you go put like that foam on the wall, you know, they're going to hit it, boom, and drop. So same sort of thing with sound waves. Now if like you want to sound deaden something, that usually comes into like wall construction, thickness, things like that. So, you know, if you just had a standard drywall with that eggshell crate foam on one side and your buddy's on the outside,
does
through
nothing.
Yeah, does nothing. It's not going to stop it. Plus, it's more porous. It has like a narrower band of what it will stop.
Can be flammable.
Could be. Yeah. And then
the good stuff is, and what we have in here probably is.
Yeah, I'm starting to feel real safe right about now. But you know, so then when it comes into actual like sound deadening, like if you're looking at a room analogy, that comes into like the construction of the wall itself, how thick the wall is, how thick the materials are, and then you could still have it sound deadened, but the inside of the room would be very echoey.
Yeah.
So where that comes back into case design is our material is more dense, our bitumen, so it's designed much more at moving towards sound deadening, and then it also has to do with you know, mitigating vibration on the actual panel itself. Because what you see a lot of times is it's like you might not be hearing the sound, you're hearing, you know, the remnants of the sound echoing through the panel. That's where like good panel fits come in. So as far as the pump goes, high-pitched stuff is kind of harder to grab.
That's why my voice tends to get picked up by the mic better than either of theirs, because my voice carries, because it's not quite as deep and manly. See, I can't even fake it.
Yeah, your voice crack. It's not as deep and manly.
Why, when I was doing videos, I thought that I could get the microphone a little bit further away from me, a little bit closer to you, okay?
You'd have like lapel mics, like, well, Linus, you know, the problem actually is Barry White on it.
Yeah, it's hard to stop that high frequency sound. And also, I mean, this is one of the things that I tell people over and over again. Get a silent case all you want, but don't imagine that you can buy a silent case. You like how I've had that little comment there for a little while? You like that?
Yeah.
I'll put that away. Don't imagine you're going to buy a Define R4, you're going to put Delta fans in it, and it's going to be a quiet system. Your system is as quiet as the quietest component, or as the loudest component you have in it. Okay, so wrap your mind around that.
No one's perfected the black hole case yet.
Yes.
That's just a complete vacuum. I mean, it's a product of its environment, and what it's designed to do is mitigate noise as much as possible, but obviously if you put in a much higher noise source, it can only mitigate that so much.
And I've had people message me, oh, I bought a silent case, I bought a, NZXT-H2, which is very different from the Define series. And I put, I took out all of the, do they have vents in theirs as well? I can't remember. Okay, let's go with Nanoxia then. So then that Nanoxia case. So I opened up all of the I opened up all the vents, and I put these high performance fans. I'm getting great temps, but it isn't very quiet. It's all about using the thing the way it's supposed to be used. You buy a Define R4, you put some sweet-ass Noctua fans in there, you put a nice silent cooler, you get like a nice quiet GPU, you're going to have a quiet computer.
Well, yeah, generally your biggest sources of noise are going to be hard drives, graphics card, and then obviously fans, you know, and that's why we have the Moduvent. So it's like, you know, if you're not using that, you're at least blocking off one area where the sound can get out. And there's always got to be a design principle trade-off where you have to have airflow and then you have to have some sound deadening. And it's like, yeah, if you're going to make basically a box and weld it shut, okay, that's going to be like the most silent case you're going to have, but then, you know, airflow tends to suffer a little bit when you can't breathe. So, yeah, there's a lot of things that go into the design of it, not that we've, I guess, necessarily pioneered it, not that it's exclusive IP, but there's just things where if you look at the layout of a case, you can kind of understand what we're doing and why we're doing it.
The other thing to be aware of is that the D5, unless you're running like 6 water blocks in it, anywhere from 1 to 5, you're looking at maybe a 1 degree difference.
You stole my point.
Well, here's another thing. I'll steal, you know, maybe another point, but back when we were in liquid cooling,
We're leaving no points for you.
there's no points. There's 0 points. You know, the other thing I've heard a lot about with liquid cooling is like, oh, where do you place your radiator? You know, because I want my radiator right in front of my outlet to my CPU, so my CPU gets coolest water. It's like, that's not how it works. You know, with people that I dealt with in the industry, it's basically the loop on a liquid cooling system is so short and it moves so fast. Your radiator basically just brings down the overall temperature of the loop.
Yes.
So it's like maybe it goes into the radiator at like 40 degrees and comes out at like 39.9998.
It's actually higher than that.
Yeah.
I've seen as much as about half of a degree.
Okay. But
Or
again,
like 0.75 of a degree.
and then we're talking about benchmark numbers, right? You know, it's like, okay, it's the difference between like, okay, driving a Ferrari that has 400 horsepower and 450. It's like, on the street, are you going to be able to tell a difference? Probably not. On a dyno, yes, but are you going to drive it on a dyno or are you going to drive it on the street? So you got to look like the real world application of what you're doing.
If I had a Ferrari, I'd do nothing but dyno it. And I wish I had a collar to pop right now. That sort of works, right? Like the hood.
Just build a dyno in your own garage. So you don't even have to like go out. Just be like, sup.
Well, it wouldn't be the
But you
first...
totally nerded out though. You'd have like a 5-to-1, you know, portrait display in front. It's like I'm driving. It's like, why there's a road out there? Yeah, but the graphics are so real in here. It's so awesome. Physics. Yeah.
Okay, then. There's a lot of questions here in the thread about future upcoming Fractal Design products. I'm not even asking Josh because I know he can't answer those questions. Is there a new Define Mini? How is this Q&A? Oh, here's a good one. How is this Q&A possible? Is Josh Linus his friend and doing it as a friend, or is he just representing Fractal Design?
Representing, popping tags. So, are we friends?
I don't know. You're not very nice to me.
Oh yeah, because you started it. Oh, jeez. No, yeah, we've known each other for a while, much to each other's chagrin, I would say. And I guess, yes, I'm representing Fractal, although I should do like the disclaimer, all thoughts and ideas are my own, except for the ones I stole. So, I'm representing me, is what I'm doing.
Here's a question from Emicrian. When will you guys update the Prodigy?
Let me think about it. It's going to be a little bit yet, but, you know, we'll work on it.
All right. You know what? Why don't we take some, let's take some Twitter questions for a second. Question for Josh. Why don't you guys have Southeast Asian branch selling via distributors? It's very irritating due to markups. You know what? I think that pretty much happens everywhere. Distributors exist because they distribute things. And they
Because it's not financially feasible for everybody to have direct operations set up in every continent.
And distributors need to mark things up so that they don't, so that their babies don't starve. Okay. Wow. No, we're going to put that away for now.
What, with the personal rig one?
Yeah.
Huh? What?
Well,
okay.
Okay, here. This is, you know what? I'm going to let both of you guys address this one while I work on something on my computer. How many years do you think desktop computers have before laptops or tablets basically make them a non-factor? And you guys are both hardcore gamers, so I'm sure whatever you say is going to be what they want to hear, but...
Personally, I think the form factor and usability of a PC will always be there. There's always that, like, feeling you can use a laptop like he is right now and be cramped up and hate everything about what you're doing.
It's a lean forward device.
Yeah, it's like, yeah. Then you can go and sit on your desktop and have your full, nice feeling, hopefully mechanical keyboard.
I'm sorry, does your desktop fit in my lap?
No.
Because
That sounds like an
it wanted
incredibly
to be in my
awkward
lap.
question. Is that slang for something?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my.
So yeah, I think form factor will keep it there. I think the enthusiast crowd will always be there in some degree. I think it might get smaller over the years. but there will always be people that like to tinker with things. So, yeah.
So I will carry that flag, that torch for you as well. So here's my thing. Like when I use my desktop, I feel like I'm at like 100% efficiency, right?
Yeah.
Then when I move to my laptop, I'm at like 75. Then when I move to a tablet, I'm at like 50. And on my phone, I'm at like 25. It's like, yes, I can technically thumb through an Excel spreadsheet on my Galaxy S3. Do I want to? No. Do I do it on my phone? When? Because I have to, right? If I'm in an airport or something. So the thing is, the desktop being dead, the PC being dead that's been around for years. I mean, they've been
when
saying
you
it
started Biohazard,
The
was that
desktop-
already a thing?
Oh, it was already a thing because notebooks were just going to kill the desktop. And then like netbooks came out. Netbooks were going to kill, notebooks because they were smaller, more portable, and people didn't need high-end processing power. And then tablets were going to kill the netbook, which they did. But then they were also going to kill laptops, and
They were right.
They were right. They got it right 1 out of 4 times. So 25% ain't bad, But that's the thing. It's like, if you look at the usage scenario, it's not so much are we going to change. It's the new market that's coming out. So my wife is a teacher. Their school went 1-to-1, where each kid has their own, device. Now, what's that device? It's an iPad. Why? Because Apple's ingenious about, subsidizing things like that. And then what are they doing? They're creating the next generation of computer users to be Apple users. So when those kids get out of school, they're going to go with what they know. So I don't think it's so much an issue of like the three of us are going to decide desktops suck and move on. I think it's going to be the generation that comes next is just going to be used to not using one. Now you're always going to have them around to a certain degree for like professional applications. I mean, like hardcore video editing, like gas modeling, all those like high-end things like that. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't think it's going to be dead tomorrow. But if you read it, it should have been dead for the past 8 years.
And it could slowly turn more into like our usage scenario might become basically gigantic docking stations, but
Yeah, that's because that actually brings us to the item that we had not that long ago. Because I would make the argument that unless applications get dramatically more multi-threading aware, which is starting to happen finally, but they've been saying it's happening since the Athlon 64X2 launched.
Yeah.
So finally happening a bit to me doesn't necessarily equate to I'm celebrating just yet. So where was I going with this? Right. I would make the argument that anything but a super slim Ultrabook actually has a powerful enough CPU for anything but a hardcore video editor, someone who's really, really hitting it. So like a gamer, especially as multi-threading, actually this probably helps my point rather than hinders it, as multi-threading gets better and we start seeing 4, 6, 8 core CPUs in notebooks that maybe aren't clocked that high, but they're very power efficient and they can dissipate the heat, and maybe it's, a gaming form factor notebook. Now picture this, because the big issue that gamers have with notebooks is graphics cards, right?
Yeah.
So we had a Magma ExpressBox 3T, which is an external Thunderbolt enclosure that runs off to 3 PCI Express slots. So you could, if the drivers were enabled, and right now NVIDIA and AMD, I think, don't want to open up the poop storm that will be if people buy these things, spend $1,000 on this box, plug their GPU in, and it doesn't work, all of a sudden they're rewriting their driver for like that one dude. Like,
Yeah.
I think they're just afraid to enable it. But there's no reason, because Thunderbolt is basically PCI Express, there's no reason why we couldn't have a native pass-through solution to a single PCI Express slot, like a simpler solution where the drivers are simpler, or maybe they'll get their act together and do the drivers, where we could actually have all this high-performance junk, like our sound cards and a RAID enclosure and a video card running off of a single Thunderbolt connection. Then does the desktop die? If you could have a notebook that you plunk down and have a gigantic docking station that has 3 GeForce GTX Titans in it.
then you wonder, is that as elegant as someone wants it?
Well, and that's kind of like my argument. So like you see like the thin-end lights and stuff like this, So it's a
Were you gesturing to me or the notebook?
Definitely the notebook.
Oh, because I was about to get all flattered and stuff.
Yeah, well, topping some tag. Feel the cashmere, even though it's not cashmere.
It's not, actually. That's not
it's
very nice.
No, it's from Sears. Actually, I picked it up on the way here. I had to roll a homeless guy to get it, but it's okay. So the thing is, like, what I always thought was funny is like, as products came out and they were thinner and they were lighter and like sexy products, it's like, oh, it's going to be so awesome. It's going to be so light. You don't have to lug around that much weight. It's like, where does it usually end up? In a backpack with a power brick. And then since you got a backpack, you probably got some other crap in there. You got your headphones. It's like,
got my screwdriver.
yeah. So by the end of the day, it's like, okay, my super thin and light,
you don't actually
notebook
carry
is now sitting in like a 15-pound backpack.
My
with
battery
other
dock,
stuff.
or my extended battery that goes with my thin and light.
Yeah.
Trying to drive that point home.
Well, and that's the same thing. It's like, or like, like in the airport, you'll see this, like guys that have like the latest Galaxy S3 thin phone, and then it's like in this like otter box.
Where's your phone?
Yeah, right.
so
And then it's in like, it's
right
like in a
there.
huge case like that. Oh, it's so thin and light, or like an iPad, and then it's in like some triple fold leather thing that where it's like back to this thick.
I have a Pelican iPad case in the hallway out there. It's about this thick. I mean, you could probably run over it with a car, but someone will carry their iPad around in it. To which I would go, why don't you just carry a notebook?
Well, by the time it gets there, it's like, why don't you just use another iPad as your iPad case? Like, so like when the one side breaks, you just flip it over. There you go. That's revolutionary.
Asus has that with their Tai Chi, the flippable thing. Yeah, see, so if one screen wears out, you just... I mean, screw screen protectors. Just have like more
disposable screens.
Disposable screens.
That's how nerdy I am. It's like I could fix that, but I'll just rip it off and get a new one.
Okay, so let's do our featured system build of the week. I hadn't quite decided on which one I wanted to feature this week. I was looking for one in a fractal case, but I couldn't find anything nice enough. So we're gonna go with my personal favorite case. This one's not done yet, but this is one to keep. Which, as I've mentioned many times in the past, is my personal favorite case. So that's the one. Apparently we lost sound when we switched to the forum. My deepest and most sincere apologies. So I'm going to go ahead and fix that for you guys while I explain what I was actually talking about. And we're back. Okay, so I was showing you guys a TJ07 build that I really liked, and how I thought that one was pretty cool. And then I wanted to switch over to, which one's the one I have open? Yeah, actually,
so they didn't hear
the
dig about your system then, did they?
No, they didn't need to hear that. That's
You can repeat it.
Okay, so then basically what happened was Linus said something about that being the best case, waiting for Fractal to come out with something like that he would use, and I said, why does it matter? You'll never finish your system anyway.
Thank you
Yes.
for summarizing that so succinctly.
Yes.
So this is a Switch 810 build. Now I'm going to come right out and I'm going to say the Switch 810 is not my personal favorite case. I've had a lot of people ask me why I didn't use the Switch 810 for my personal rig, and the reason is that it's made of plastic, and I personally find that to be not necessarily my favorite thing. So this is a build from Yokrik, who is maybe from Singapore, probably not.
Possibly.
I'm thinking not from Singapore. And he has got some seriously cool stuff going on in here. And the pictures are not showing up on our live stream computer. Which is a big problem for me. So I'm going to look for the picture that really...
Do you have HDMI out on that laptop there?
I don't believe that I do. So I'm going to look for the keyword that I really, really liked. This picture right here. Ah, yes. So very, very tasteful. If there was one thing that I would critique about Yakrik's build, it's that power supply really doesn't go with that coolant. And it's all about the details, but it looks just very, very, very clean. I'm one of those sort of freaks of nature that actually prefers thin water cooling tubes to the sort of the thick ones. Remember when that 1/2 inch ID, 3/4 inch OD tubing was in vogue?
Oh, yeah.
Why?
Routing was a pain.
Routing was terrible. Remember that that Danger Den block that had the, what was it, the MDX with the inlet and the 2 outlets?
Yeah. It was the 3 bar.
Yeah, and people would stuff like 3 tubes, and then they'd come out and
You couldn't even get the clamps on it to keep everything on the bar because it's like everything was touching. It's like, I'll just clamp all of them at the same time.
and
It's
hope
okay.
that that's why your system leaked.
Well, I didn't do it. I didn't say I used it. Do you remember when Danger Dan had like solid silver blocks?
Oh, that was so cool.
Yeah, it was like 0.99 troy ounce, whatever, silver. It's like from the Liberian Mint or whatever.
Performance made no difference.
Well, it's like 2 degrees.
Yeah.
See, it's all about the degrees.
You know what I would okay, if there's anyone watching who has one of these, consider this an active bid on it. I'll pay $500 for a Cathar storm block in silver. For one of the ones that's actually made by Cathar. And if you guys have one, then there's no way you'd sell it to me for $500. So it's
So it's a
Do you remember those though? Oh, I have a SwiftTech Storm Rev 2. That's the closest I have to that sort of monument of water cooling achievement. Yeah, no, Cathar is sort of like, if there was an actual overclocking or water cooling guru guy, it wouldn't be that weirdo who ran that weird computer company on the East Coast. What was it? Hazard Bio?
East Coast, yeah, East Coast. In the middle of the U.S. is close to the East Coast.
So yeah, that.
I'm taking your armrest, by the way. Just move over.
Why do you want to be so close to me?
Pecking order.
Are you
I'm just asserting my dominance.
No, I think
he
he's
went all alpha male
He's
on
trying
you.
to
just
huddle.
trying to
Yeah,
get away
he's trying to
from
huddle. Holy slip.
Yeah, if there was anyone that I looked up to more than Cathar, I think it'd be tough to find. It'd be tough to find that person because he basically killed every liquid cooling myth. Did you ever see the test he did on 1/4 inch versus 3/8 versus 7/16 versus 1/2 inch with all these different scenarios where at the end of it all, he basically went, yeah, unless you go down to 1/4 where you might drop 1.5 degrees, the difference between 3/8 and 1/2 inch is actually really difficult to measure.
Yeah. Well, it's all perception versus reality, right? Like you think if this is good, that's better, so on, and the reality's.
I don't mean to pick on you or anything, but it really felt like an American thing.
Well, like we started it?
No, like bigger is well because it never took off in Europe. In Europe, they were using 1/4 inch tubing until like 2-3 years ago.
How'd it go here?
Oh, in America, it was like they skipped everything else and went straight to 1/2 inch tubing.
Yeah. That was always though. It was always like 1/4 inch was like the thinner tubing was like a lot more popular in Europe, and then
Really popular in Europe.
I always preferred like 3/8.
Thick wall, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. See,
Yeah.
the right
Yeah,
balance.
because the thin stuff's like good until it warms up, and then
it goes.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I was always 3/8 because it's like part of it was a compromise because like that really fat tubing, it's like, oh, and then depending what type of tubing you have, it'd stick to itself.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, oh man, it's just such a pain.
And the fatter tubing actually looked uglier when it clouded. And it all did in those days. All that, like, whatever claims people made, my Tygon never cloud. Yes, it did.
Yeah. What other people
Yes,
would
it
use,
did.
They'd use like the different, like I have a copper block and an aluminum block, and I got a brass block. It's like, okay, get ready for some chemical reaction to be going on in there. And it's like, what's all that clouding stuff? It's called science.
Oh, the early days of water cooling.
Here's one for you. Do you know what the first liquid cooling radiator actually was?
Yeah, it was, everyone was using car heater cores.
Heater core out of like a Ford Escort. Yep.
Yeah. I never went that route. I came along right when guys like Hardware Lab, like SwiftTech was bringing their radiators to market, and Hardware Labs was now pretty established. So my first radiator, actually I had some people asking a question, why am I using that old, scuffed up, beat up, stupid looking radiator in the front of my TJ07 personal rig? It's a Black Ice Pro 2, and that was like right when that came out. That was like the bee's knees, and it was revolutionary because it had a very, very open fin arrangement, so it was optimized for quiet fans. Because up till then, everyone was using heater cores. If you didn't put deltas on the thing, it wasn't going to perform.
Yeah, and then now it's all like triple cross path flow, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. So that's why I'm using it in my personal rig. That's the first radiator I bought for my first water cooling system. So I still have my Apogee upstairs. I still have, no, actually my MCP6 350, which is what I got for my first loop, is gone. But I still have that radiator in my system, so that still remains. So it's one of those relic type things. So let's talk Chromebook Pixel. People have requested this topic. Have you guys got any familiarity with the Chromebook Pixel? Wow, you guys just don't get out much, do you? It's
We're
like
sitting in your garage
so
studio. Yeah.
Would you have known about it if people didn't ask you to know about it?
No. I would have known of it, but I wouldn't have actually
yeah, I know of
researched
it.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll brief you guys on this. So are you familiar
With what I learned 3 hours ago.
actually 3 days ago?
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And have forgotten most of since.
Okay. Let me just bring some stuff up.
Yeah, I'm going to use the power of the internet, which I will harness now on my, by the way, very convenient hunched over computer.
No Ethernet cable.
I'm going to use
no
my
HDMI
level 10
out,
paraphrasing
battery keeps
skills.
dying, gets
Oh,
super loud.
Speaking of that, yeah, I mean, I love this thing. I actually really do. Aspire S7 is the first notebooks that's actually gotten me excited. I mean, have you ever seen me excited about a notebook?
No.
Yeah. Love this notebook. However, there are some obstacles. So today our wireless went down and I didn't have an Ethernet jack. And today what was the other issue I had? Oh yeah, I had
No
to plug
HDMI
in,
out.
no micro HDMI out, and I didn't have the cable. And then the other issue was I needed to plug a bunch of peripherals into it to test the included software to do some stuff, and it only has 2 USB ports. And
But other than those 5 things,
and the battery ran out today.
And it
6
gets
things.
really
So I had to
loud.
put my thing on it, and well, it's a little loud.
It's pretty loud.
It's not loud now.
Right now, yeah.
Mind you, it's like 11 degrees in here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I do this thing called ambient cooling. I just go outside when it gets warmed up.
Okay, so are you guys familiar with the original Chromebook? Where it was that Google Chrome browser.
Yeah.
Super cheapo machine. Like you could kind of put your teeth on it and pry up the plastic holding down the keyboard.
Now it's got like crazy good resolution and all this kind of stuff, right?
So the Chromebook Pixel has a 1080p screen, beautiful, beautiful IPS panel. It has an aluminum body. This is the Chromebook Pixel. It has a premium feeling keyboard. It has like sort of all the bells and whistles. It feels like a premium Ultrabook, but it's a Chromebook. So Chromebook, if you guys don't remember all the details, basically just runs a Chrome browser and that's it.
yeah.
It's over $1,000.
And but it has nice, like, I think the screen's like 233 ppi or something.
Does it matter?
No. Personally. I don't really care about it.
You're sort of a crappy co-host if you don't elaborate beyond no.
Okay.
Just no.
Okay,
Moving
no!
on.
It's $1,000.
Did you ever play that game Guess Who? Where the one chick is Mrs. No or something
Mrs.
like
No?
that? Always answers no, no
Really?
matter what. Yeah. So if you're like, do you have brown eyes? No. Do you have not brown eyes? No. Everyone always gets that one right away. Anyway, go ahead.
Okay, so it might be applicable in
Epic
some
game.
places.
You know the game, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
I've actually never played it.
Oh, it's awesome.
I've heard of it and I've seen it, but I've never played it.
Sounds
So
like you avoided it.
Great commercials. Great commercials.
Yeah.
Never.
I'm good.
Connect 4 is an awesome game too.
Play Connect 4.
We should get a copy. We should. Oh, no, it's got a copy. Look.
You want to get some DLC for it too?
Freaking kids today, right?
Green chips.
Download the
Alright.
latest drivers for my computer so I can play Connect 4. Anyway, awesome game. We should get like a game.
Have a championship.
Yeah.
Oh.
You'd fly out here for a Connect 4 championship.
Yeah,
Battle
sure.
Royale,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. That'd be a good thing to justify the expense of Connect 4 championship with Linus. The best thing is I can beat you because I can reach the top of it. Oh, sorry.
Wow.
Ooh. Hey, just back and forth.
At least
buddy.
my company is still operational.
Which one?
The one that you're participating in right now.
Well, yeah, we're working in 6 weeks right now. You're doing good. That's a long track record.
Actually, we're closer to 9 weeks.
Oh, see, that's me just being bad with math.
Are we closer to 9 weeks?
Yeah.
Is it anniversary? Should we go out for like a blizzard or something?
Yeah,
Probably, yeah.
9-week anniversary.
What anniversary is that? Paper?
You brought
tinfoil?
You brought a gift.
Value menu
Yeah,
ice cream cone.
No, I think aluminum is
Whopper
an anniversary,
Wednesday.
so it'd have to be
Whopper
like dish rag anniversary. Like,
Table scraps anniversry. You gonna finish that? Thanks, babe.
there's no scraps left over because the only food we can afford to buy, we eat it all.
I remember that. I loved, like when I had my own business, like we'd be out doing stuff. I was like, just expense it. I'm like, I work for myself. You know, it's like that kind of comes right back to me. It's like kiting a check. Like, ooh, sure hope that doesn't hit the bank first. You know?
It's like, gee, I wonder if my boss is going to approve this when I get back from the trip.
Boss is a jerk. Yeah. We were talking about something.
I don't know. It probably wasn't. It was his opinion.
Oh
so I
yeah,
don't
you're
think it was
trashing
important.
it.
Chromebook
Yeah.
Pixel. Yeah, I'm not that excited. I don't know. It's a lot of money for something that's just not super awesome. I found it was in a weird space when it was first released too, the original Chromebook, because it's like, who's actually going to look at all the options that they have and go, okay, I want a Chromebook. And I've heard that they've done really, really good in different regions.
Yeah, because they're low cost.
Yeah.
But this one doesn't have.
But it's a
Cost thing.
premium. It's a low cost premium.
It almost sounds like a product that was developed and then they tried to find a market for it.
Yeah.
You know, it's like,
Yeah.
boom, we made this. No, who's gonna use it?
Hopefully this guy will
Yeah.
use it. Like,
Okay, well here, riddle me this then. What would you need to do on a notebook? I mean, bearing in mind your notebook doesn't run games anyway.
no, yeah.
Okay.
And I was gonna say, like, at the same time, we're moving a lot towards cloud storage. Like,
Yes.
we don't even use flash drives anymore. Within
Nope.
the last month, we've gone from like,
So we all carried 64 gig flash. I carried two 64 gig flash drives. You carried.
I carried one 64 gig, one 32 gig, and two 16 gigs, and like in my pockets all the time. And that went from that to all cloud within the last month.
I still carry mine because I'm hardcore, but I actually haven't used it.
Mine's in my.
Hardcore,
Wait a
like,
sec,
in case you
wait a
get a
sec,
geek
wait
check
a
on the
sec.
street. Represent.
Yeah.
Yeah. How big is yours? Whip it out.
I had a 3 terabyte thumb drive. Top secret. Can't talk about it. Moving on. Go.
Yeah, did that run on your, your phase change cooling that blew?
Yeah, I did. There's a wagon behind me all the time. That I was
Right.
dragging around a really long extension cord, but it still worked.
Yeah,
Still-
USB thumb drive that's actually just a USB cord that runs to like a backpack.
How awesome would that be? Like a battery powered hard drive on your back, and it's like, but it comes out into a USB cable. It's got Wi-Fi too.
And it probably like plugs into your like Google glasses and powers that too, so you get a reasonable battery life on those.
through a cable
Augmented
the size
reality
of an
for like.
XLR.
It looks like I'm really looking through a file folder right now. It's so cool.
You know what? Maybe this is the future. Wearable batteries that wirelessly charge all of the devices you're carrying all at the same time. Huh?
Don't get
Huh?
wet.
Huh? Should we patent it now?
Wet.
Don't get them wet.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't get wet. Well, hopefully not
See a bunch
like
of people hiding when it rains. Like,
lithium
so
battery.
Vancouver would not be the best test base for.
No,
yeah.
probably not.
Yeah.
But I would still definitely volunteer because that sounds fantastic.
Yeah, and if they could make them bulletproof, then it would be that much
Then
like
you can survive through wars and use your cell phone.
Kevlar battery vest.
Why?
Because those are two needs that you have right next to each other. It's like, man, that guy's shooting at me, and I really need to transfer that file. Just give me a second.
I gotta tweet this, man.
Just a second. I said just a second.
Like Marcus Phoenix pulls out like a smartphone on the battlefield. Like Master Chief's like, oh, Cortana, I'm running out of battery. You're gonna. Cortana's gone.
Yeah.
If only he'd worn his battery pack vest.
So, at what point in time, though, is like to go from like a battery pack to like just like a taser? Like when it gets wet, it's like, yeah, laser tag, screw that, taser tag. Zap,
There would be some hack to like take the cable from your crazy battery pack and just like jam it into someone.
Would you play? Okay, okay, like not with real taser, like incapacitating, bowel loosening tasers, like. If
Not the ones with the darts, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like, I become a sissy when darts get involved. Like,
Right.
That's really
Right.
going to hurt.
Yeah.
It's impaled.
Okay, so if you could actually play laser tag with tasers that hurt to the point where you get hit in the arm and all your muscles seize up.
You punch yourself in the face.
Have your gun and just
You're butt stroking yourself on the floor.
It's like, if only I could stop pistol whipping myself.
Self-induced pistol whip.
Stop it, dude. Come on. Man.
If you could play laser tag with tasers, would that be that different from paintball, and would you do it?
I would do it.
Yeah, we're all like, yeah, we try it. It's just like when you're playing paintball for the first time, the whole time you're out there, I kind of want to get shot to see what
Yeah,
it feels
just- I
like,
just
but I
wanna know.
kind of don't, Then you get like
it hurts.
Then like the first time you get hit, that somehow misses your mask and hits you in the neck. Oh, okay, I don't want to play anymore. This
I'm
hurts.
kind of an idiot about that kind of stuff, though. I'll self-admit it. I told you my story about breaking my arm.
You broke your
I
arm
was
playing
break
paintball?
my wrist.
Oh,
Not
you're an
paintball.
idiot.
So I'm up on the hill.
So this is
and-
not at all related.
Not at all
Wasn't
related.
playing
but
paintball and wasn't
like pain-induced, don't really care, just want to still have fun. I'm up on the hill and I have really thin bones because I grew really fast. I haven't grown since like grade 7 or something. But I leaned back into the snow and my wrist got really badly sprained. So I went to the doctor guy on the hill because I'm on a school trip. And he's like, oh,
Sounds
okay.
like Dr. Guy on the hill in a van down by the river.
He was drunk.
There were no
Oh,
windows.
there you go.
Win.
Yes.
And
He wasn't feeling any
He
pain.
splints it, and he's like, yeah, okay, don't go back on the hill. So I obviously go back on the hill, come back down. He's like, okay, well, it's worse now.
Starting to sound
Don't
like a
go back
parable.
up. I go back up, go back down because I screwed up again. And then he's like, okay, well, it's fractured now. Don't go back up on the hill. So I go back up on the hill. It just progressively gets worse and worse. So I would probably play that game.
You'd probably play that game. 'Cause that would be
Only if
freaking
someone told
fun,
you
right?
not to do it, though, right?
Because
Probably.
let me
yeah.
tell you, actually, compared to paintball, which is more like it's like a sharp pain. It's like flicking
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
ear, right? Compared to a paintball, an electric. Have you ever been zapped by a pretty decent electric shock?
Yes, I had my hand pinned between, someone like hit me while I was trying to plug something in, and my hand got pinned between a big socket and the wall.
Like they punched you?
He-
What were you
he
trying to
was-
plug
It was
in?
trying to be a joke,
Oh.
so he came up and kidney shotted me while I was trying to plug in a vacuum. And
Okay,
it
how
was like, "Ugh," and it was pretty bad.
How about you? You ever had any significant electric shock? I mean, those high-powered computers you built, probably what they run on, like 60 volts AC.
Yeah, we basically had to have our own separate UPSs behind them and everything. That's just how we roll.
Do you wear the UPS in a backpack?
Yeah, I did. Actually, that's how BA I
Why
was.
not?
You know,
Yeah.
it's like
Bulletproof backpack.
Granted, I looked like a mech walking through the living room, stomping around, but no, I've never been tasered. I did pepper spray myself one time, but other than that,
Was that to find out what it felt like?
no, I did find out what it felt like though. No, it was a thing in college, and I was a security guard, and the safety on that thing was just not there. I kind of accidentally pepper sprayed half of a McDonald's. So this is totally unrelated, but I might as well explain this now. So
Okay.
I was a security guard at McDonald's, so yeah, I was getting all the ladies. And, some...
Can I take your order and kick you out of the restaurant?
Excuse me, my job is to observe. Okay, I'm not going to interact, just observe. But, I'm sitting there, and it's on my duty belt, which is a glorious term for security, duty belt. And I go to lean forward, and, they had those slatted chairs, and I lean forward, and I hear all of a sudden, I'm like, what the? And I see, this cloud of pepper spray go up. So what do? I'm like, I could warn people. No, I move around. It's like the first thing you want to do is that could have been me. I was over here when that happened.
Just disperse it.
But as I'm walking back to the bathroom, I feel my eyes kind of start to But then I'm like, I can't be the pepper sprayed security guard at the McDonald's, right? Because that would just be even more pathetic than just being the security guard at the McDonald's, So, needless to say, I hear people start coughing and stuff. Then I come back out of the bathroom like, what's going on out here? Someone sprayed pepper spray. I'll find them. They're probably outside in my car. Let me go drive down to the store and I'll find them. But yeah, so I did that. Never been, and that kind of might have happened twice. The other time was in a call center, and I kind of got I got rid of that pepper spray because it was a bad can. And it was empty by then too. I'd pepper sprayed 47 people in 2 incidents. I mean, honestly, what type of a group kill is that? I should get some sort of award for that.
Yeah, that must be an achievement.
Multi-kill.
Life achievement.
And then I actually had to get pepper sprayed, not because of bad behavior, but in police academy, I had to get sensitivity training.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So that one was legitimate.
But they didn't taser you in the police training. Because I heard
No.
that's a thing.
That's the thing now. We didn't have electricity back then. And pepper spray was just throwing peppers at people. I mean, it's all Flintstones and stuff. So.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, you know what? My plan was to tell a stupid story about myself, but that, that
I went ahead and
That
just did
trump
that for
cards
you.
everything.
Yeah,
Yeah, I know.
I got nothing. So I was going to say my best shocked experience was actually an electric fence.
Whoa.
It was a horse electric fence. So
Did you pee on it?
It's not as no, I didn't.
That's what we all
actually.
want to know.
Yes.
Not what happened. So a horse electric fence. So those, I mean, they're not as hardcore as house current, but they're a lot worse than the pig ones. And they're designed for a horse to be like, oh, no, thank you. And so anyway, I'd never
Is
actually...
that how they rate them though? Do you want Pig fence or horse fence?
Yeah.
Well, I want buffalo fence. You know.
Absolutely.
Really?
Yeah.
Jeez.
So the way an electric fence works is it's not a constant current the way that house current is. So you have an opportunity to move away from it. It's
Like so
supposed
you're
to-
not stuck onto it.
So
the
you're
whole
not
time.
stuck on it because it causes your muscles to clench up, right?
Yeah.
All your muscles to clench up. You couldn't pass a bowel movement if their life depended on it. Anyway, so
It's a wonderful visual coming in right about how Linus hanging onto a fence.
yeah, let's talk horse bowels for
Okay,
a moment,
yeah.
folks.
It sounds like a public service announcement. It's like, we need to talk about horse bowel movements.
Horse bowels want you.
It's a very serious problem affecting many horses and some weird people.
Donate
Like probably
today.
your state.
Oh, really? I didn't even know what the classifications of electric fence were.
I don't even know what state you're from, so
That's good.
whatever.
Yeah.
So anyway, they have jolts that come through sort of once in a while, and so an electric shock. It's not so much a sharp pain like a paintball, but it's more of like it feels like a dull pain. So I was feeding the horses, and I had one of the buckets, and I was hanging up one bucket, and one of the other buckets was sort of off to the side while I hung. We had 2 horses when I was growing up, so and also the way an electric shock works is it has an entry point and an exit point, and the one you tend to feel the most is the exit point. So I had a friend with me, and I'm sitting there hanging up the buckets, and I turn around, I'm like, dude, what's your problem? Don't. And he's like, what? And so I turn back, and I'm like, and he kicks me in the butt, and I'm like, dude, I said not to do that. And then he's like, what? And finally, the 3rd time, I'm like, what is your problem? And then as I'm turned around looking at me, he's clearly not kicking me. I feel it again. I'm like, oh, I have the metal strap or the metal hanger for the bucket up against the fence. And it really did feel like someone heaving with all of his force and kicking me right in the rear. And I was like, what is wrong with this guy? Like, he's a mild-mannered guy, never done anything like that before.
Horses make him snap. That's it. I'm kicking someone's butt tonight.
It's absolutely psycho.
I just hate horses so much. The fact that you're feeding them at all.
And you know when you looked and you saw he's too far away to do it, for a split second, you're like, oh my God, is he telekinetic? How is he doing that from over there? How is he reaching me? This is scary.
Your story was way more stupid, though, and that just made my story just terrible. So Chromebook Pixel, overpriced, underfunctional, and personally, I don't think I'd buy one. It's after 10:30, so the live stream's over, guys. You can leave, although we kind of started the after party early tonight because we just completely stopped talking about computer hardware.
It all started with the Tazertag.
Yeah, I still maintain Tazertag would be awesome.
I think it would. You know, like any guy would do it just to like, Tazertag.
And you know what the problem is with, both laser tag and paintball, is people who don't report hits. If they had to twitch on the ground a little, there'd be no question
And
it'd be a hit.
legitimate taser though. That's insane.
Yeah,
You'll have
if
to
you
calm
have to-
down
not
a little
quite,
bit.
not quite. It'd have to be, but they
It had to be like a kid-friendly taser.
yes,
right?
kid-friendly, and you'd
In
want
the
them
face.
you'd want them to feel. And you know what? I've always felt that this is pretty stupid about paintball. Gun hits should not count.
Okay, yeah.
Gun hits shouldn't count. Why do gun hits count?
Well, they should count for something.
For what?
Well, geez, I mean, if you take a gun hit in real life, you have an odds are it's not going to go so well for you.
Yeah,
At
there's
the very
no-
least, you're going to be out, right? You
Well,
should have to
you'll-
do something.
And if you're
Okay.
firing while it's going off and it hits your barrel, you're screwed.
Okay, but you're still alive. So fine.
Maybe.
Make
If you
me,
take a shot after you've taken a bullet hit to your barrel, you might still be alive when
okay,
it's over.
hold on. Okay, so let's say gun hit. You know, you put it down. If you can manage to get back to base, you can get another gun. Okay, taser tag, gun hits wouldn't count. But I mean, you might feel them a little bit. Actually.
yeah, I'd probably carry right through. Actually.
Yeah.
It'd probably be even worse. It's like then
Actually,
you
yeah.
stroke yourself in the face.
So you're adding
Okay.
distance to the exit points further away.
Yeah, that's actually quite true. So I don't really think that we should talk about that anymore.
Because your point was disproven.
Okay, Josh.
Yes.
Now you're using a Define R4. I think it's probably safe to say that's a bit of a compromise because you're old and you can't see very well to build a proper computer these days with full liquid cooling and all of that stuff. So,
But mine runs. How's yours doing?
Ooh,
mine,
ooh.
The trailer queen out there? Is that what you're talking about?
wow. You know what? I did a video about that build and people liked it. So there you go.
Is it really?
Did you
built
finish
if
the
it's not
video?
done yet?
Yeah, I finished the video.
Oh, at least you got one thing done.
Okay. What would you want in a truly high-end case, would you still, to this day, if you had, let's say you had like a week to sit and build it, and no one else, you weren't allowed to do anything else that week, what would you want? Like, how many radiator spots would you want? Knowing what you know about the actual case design process, how crazy would you go? Would you put phase in it? Would you do tech?
No.
Would you go water even?
Probably, yeah. Like, you know, if time was no object, yeah, I'd go water.
Which case on the market today, sort of fractal hat off if you can do that, which case on the market today is the closest to what you would use for an extreme liquid-cooled build that you had a week to sit down and work on? Because, I mean, fractal cases are great. Don't get me wrong. My wife uses a fractal case, and it's awesome. It's quiet. It's
She's got great taste.
good airflow.
In some things.
She has good taste in most things.
Most things.
And, but it's not as modder friendly, because there's a lot more teardown that would have to be done to paint it, for example. It's not as water cooling friendly. It's not like Fractal doesn't have a case that fits a quad rad. They just don't. That's reality. So how crazy would you go? How many radiators? Where would you put them?
See, that's my thing. Yeah, I tend to be a little bit more of a realist. Yeah, I'm probably going to pimp myself here. I would still say like an XLR2 would probably do most of what I would need to do. You know, because it can support fat rads, which I would
Okay.
I'd still rather do like a fat rad than have like, you know, a 480 or whatever the heck it is, you know.
Okay.
480. You know, the other thing is too, it's like, yeah, I don't know. I mean, whether I go dual loop or single loop or how I'd go
Oh,
about
dual
it.
loop is so unnecessary.
I know, but you know, it could be something too, like if you're going to upgrade graphics frequently. If you just want to do that, you don't have to drain your whole loop.
That's true.
You know, I'd probably have like redundant pumps. So I have dual
Okay.
pumps. You know, stuff like that. But I mean, that's the thing. It's like, it wouldn't need to be something the size, and I'm not knocking it, but like the 900D. I mean, it could be something like the size of like an XL. You know, I've honestly also wanted to play with like liquid cooling, like a Node 304.
That would be cool.
Yeah, I mean, it can support like a, you know, like a, what, H80, Antec 620, whatever, you know, even in push-pull, you know.
Okay.
But like if I actually went like full open loop, and I know I've seen some guys on forums just starting to play with it. Res placement might be a little bit tricky, but I've got some ideas on that.
You could T-line it.
Yeah, you could do
You
that.
could go old school.
Yeah, you could go old school, Delrin T-line it.
Yep.
You know,
I remember when the colored T-lines came out.
yeah, oh, do you want it anodized? Yeah, I'll pay an extra $10 for that. Why? But yeah, I mean, I'd like to do that. I'd like to do like a liquid cooling in a Node 304. I think just to try it.
Tell me something though. Is that the kind of thing you'd build just to try it? Or is it the kind of thing you'd build to actually use as your daily driver for the next 2 years?
Daily driver for the next 2 years, me personally, would probably be like an XLR2 if I was going to liquid cool.
If you were going to liquid
If I was
cool.
going to liquid cool.
If you're going to air cool, what would you pick?
I'd probably go like an Archmidi R2. You know, the thing for me is like,
He's not going to pick anything that's not Fractal. He knows there are other cases
oh man,
out
it's
there.
almost like I work in marketing. What are you thinking? But no, seriously, I mean, for me though, I'm happy with what we make. Like when I looked at joining the company, that's what I did is I went out and like read all the reviews on the cases to see honestly if it's good stuff, because I wouldn't be able to like go out and speak about stuff I thought was crap.
You're not a proper marketing guy at all then.
Yeah, I know I have a soul.
You're not supposed to
Well, I
be
guess I don't have a soul because I'm a ginger, right?
You're not. Yeah, well, you never stood a chance.
Yeah, exactly. I'm a little bit darker than you though. But anyway. Ooh, it's, the lights in this garage, they're not tanning lights, are
No,
they?
they're really not.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, we all look sickly. We're all like, I really just need some penicillin and a sandwich, you know? But yeah, I mean, I think like for, the reason I want to go with the XLR2 is just like, there's so much room in it. You know, the Archmidi R2 works really well.
Would
but
you cut up the XLR2? Like, would you make any modifications to it?
That's the thing, it's like the awesome like blank canvas, right? I mean, and that's like we got voted in on like, I think it was like overclock.net awards, the community choice awards for like the different categories. Like one of them's like most moddable case. And it's like, we get a lot of appreciation from the modding community for like the R4 just being so minimalistic, right? Like it's
Right.
such a blank canvas that like you can do whatever you want to. Like there's not even like branding on it, right? I mean,
That's
we don't
true.
even have a logo on it. And actually with the Archmidi R2, the logo is easily removed if you want to do that. So we,
Okay.
you know, so we've gone that route. But yeah, I probably would. Now, would I have the ability to really heavily mod it? Probably not. I'm not like a Dremel king or anything like that. I'd probably go like Bill Owen or someone. But what about you? If
Well,
you were going to finish a build, what would you do?
thank you for that.
No
I'm
problem.
liking these. These are good. You can stay.
We need more guests.
Whatever, man.
I love how he just
He's like, I hate you. I'm looking.
dodges off, goes to his laptop. Yeah,
Like the prototypical antisocial behavior. Screw you, gang.
hunch over. Yeah.
I have better friends on the internet. They're nice to me. They send me Twinkies.
It's funny because they do.
All right, so this is something actually. Sorry, I'm gonna kill the after party because these guys are poor sports, and I'm gonna move into another topic that I wanted to talk about: megapixels on cell phones. Is that something that's been driving you crazy for the last few years? How it keeps going like this,
Yeah.
and the benefit keeps doing what?
Yeah, I know. Well, and like the thing is, like when the new phones come out, I mean, like
13 megapixel camera.
yeah, and then, like who was it that had like the kit where you could like slap the lens on the back of your phone?
There's a lot of people that
There's
do that,
a
actually.
lot of
and,
those.
And
Yeah.
it doesn't even matter what phone you get. There's third parties that'll do
Yeah,
it.
like Leica and stuff like that. I'm like, I'm
Yeah.
gonna go ahead and put a $700 lens on the back of my Galaxy S3.
Did you ever see the holder for iPhone? That's like a
Yeah. Like the shoulder pod holder for iPhone. Yeah, I saw some guy who came with a custom made one. He went to PAX and he was reporting on it. And he had a mic done up through this weird, like crazy setup that went through USB to his phone. And then he had like a shoulder pod for it. And it was like a shoulder pod, but not like the like presses against your shoulder one that we have. It was like a rides on his shoulder one.
Yeah, like the one that kind of like hangs. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, that is fantastic because you have this tiny little phone with like all this crap.
Again, it comes back to the thin and light thing, right? My phone only weighs like 7 grams, but everything else with it weighs 42
There's
pounds.
one little like metal pipe handle that is a component of this huge elaborate thing, weighs 10 times more than the phone.
So guys, more megapixels on phones is not necessarily a good thing because sensor size is everything. You can't change physics. The bigger the object that you get to blast with light, the more light it can capture. Period. I mean, you can throw bigger lenses on it to capture more light and bring that down to a small object, but the ability of that object to capture more light depends on the size of the sensor at the end of the day. And phone sensors, while they've been finding ways to manufacture them with more megapixels, that is to say more capture points in that tiny little spot, actually haven't really been getting any bigger. And the lenses in front of them are always going to be garbage. I mean, garbage compared to obviously a lens this big, because the lens stack is like this, and it's not like you can build them out of the highest quality glass optics because, like, what would that add to the BOM cost of a phone?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, you get the photo version. It's like an upcharge of $1,200 or like another 7 years contract, however they want to go about it.
it's like really?
Yeah.
Are you kidding? When you don't make the lens out of plastic, it's a big problem?
Well, and really all that for drunken bar photos that you put on Facebook. Yeah. Duck face. Get out of the mirror. Yeah.
So okay. So the new HTC One is actually the first phone that's trying to say, okay, we're not going to play the megapixel race anymore, or we're not going to participate in the megapixel race anymore. So they've taken their new phone, and I believe it has, what was it? Oh, crap. I can't remember how many megapixels it is, but it's actually less than current generation phones, whereas we have actually like 13 megapixel phones coming out in the market because they're saying that with the larger pixels, you're actually able to capture more light per pixel, which is giving better low light performance versus if you have these little tiny pixels that actually individually can't capture much light. So I'd like you guys to check out these photos, which I will of course increase the brightness on my monitor so you can actually see them. Maybe I should show them. So this is a low light scenario.
Okay.
Competitor 1, competitor 2 in the HTC One. Part of an interesting article on Anantech that I saw was about how is it actually possible for these 13 megapixel tiny sensors, hopefully you guys can see this, the top one's brighter, that's pretty much the point. Is it possible
Just make it up.
for these tiny phone sensors that are 13 megapixels to even resolve, like are they as big as the amplitude of a light wave?
Right.
And they were smaller. So wait, when your pixel is actually smaller than the thing that's supposed to hit it, what you're actually doing is you're just oversampling.
Yeah.
Because it's going to hit 3 of them at a time. They're all going to capture the same thing. So you're just sampling something multiple times. It's like if you had a monitor that was 1600 by 1200, and then you were going to run 400 by 300 content on it. It's exactly the same thing.
The problem with this though is conveying that to the public properly because like 90 billion%.
Photo
Obviously,
dorks
that's not a
already
thing.
knew this.
I know, but photo dorks aren't 99%.
How do you convince your mom that her new cell phone doesn't have to
And
be...
how do you convince someone that when they're looking at a spec list for phones, that a higher number isn't better?
So I think basically I admire what they're trying to do, because anyone who's trying to buck the trend that's just like sort of a death spiral trend, where the higher the megapixels go, actually the worse the experience is going to be. So I give kudos to them for having the guts to take a flagship phone and say, no, look, we're actually going to do what's better for the user experience versus what's not. I mean, unlike what his systems always did, where they just took the most expensive, stupid thing, threw it together in a box, and then sold it to some poor sap who doesn't know what to do with his money.
Or yours, where they don't turn
Yeah,
on.
exactly. Ours ran. Step number 1, we beat you. We could benchmark ours. But you know, the thing is, that's going on, you know, the age-old perception versus reality, right? If 2 is good, 4 is better, 8 is, you know, better. So it's easier to play on that than to try and go in and like challenge established norms, you know, because, you know, in marketing, that's where you constantly have problems is you only have people's attention span for such a short period of time. How do you convey that complex of an idea, or an idea that flies in the face of what is conventional wisdom, whether it's right or not?
So how do you do that? Okay, here, tell me something. What's a trend that Fractal has bucked that you've had trouble convincing people is good? And I'll let you think about that for a moment while we do some Twitter questions, because this is something I'm actually interested in getting a real answer to. What is Slick's real first name? He looks like, holy crap, can you believe he got that right?
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty sweet stream, especially because I watched it live, but so much off topic. Yeah, we know, it's...
Yeah, it's me. It's always me.
Josh looks like the SteelSeries guy.
Okay.
Mix paintball with laser tag, with water or conductive, with Tazertag, with conductive fluid paintballs.
Like your grenadier has like saline bombs.
Sean, awesome. Oh, okay, I was wrong. Sorry, the Chrome Pixel is 1700p, so it's a super high resolution. Actually, I don't know if that's right, but it's some super high res
pixel
thing.
per inch is pretty amazing.
Yeah,
as well.
it's outstanding, and there's a bunch of like cloud storage that's included. You know what? Yeah, they include 3 years of 1 terabyte cloud storage. To me, it's almost like it's like that first hit of like crack, where it's like
trying to suck you in.
yeah, it's trying to get you dependent on cloud storage. I love cloud storage. I use cloud storage all the time. We use almost exclusively. You're still thinking about that, right?
Yes.
Okay, we use almost exclusively cloud storage internally at my company, which is better than Biohazard, for any kind of sharing documents or backups, because it is extremely handy to be able to access it anywhere. I don't think I'm at the point where I would pay for cloud storage.
And I was just going to say, in saying that, what we're using for our backups and internal documents is just that, internal documents.
Yes.
We don't upload anything other than like Excel spreadsheets and PowerPoint.
Because look at it this way. If I were to go, oh, I want to keep my games in the cloud. Hello, it's called Steam. You download them whenever you want. Oh, I want to keep my music in the cloud. Hello, it's called iTunes. Or Microsoft service, whatever that subscription-based one, for $100 a year, you play whatever you want. Like, the cloud is way better than some goofy folder somewhere that you drop things into. You're not going to use that. What you should be doing is building yourself a NAS with that money, because as soon as you make yourself dependent on a cloud storage solution like Google Drive, for only $10 a month, you can get this. Oh, you need more? Oh, now it's $30 a month. Oh, now it's $40 a month. Oh, wait, you just spent $500 this year. Guess how many terabytes of hard drives you can buy for $500 at this point? Okay, let's even say $200. $200 buys you a RAID 5 array that's probably about 6 terabytes. You know how hard it is to set up, like, a share on your computer that you can access from anywhere? So cloud storage is great, cloud storage is cool, but I don't like the idea of tying myself to... That's why Google wants you to buy a Chromebook, Because then all of a sudden, you are a lifer customer for the entire lifetime of that device, which has no storage.
And if you think about it, it's like, say you manage to even get like half a terabyte into the cloud and your 3 years is up. Are you going to switch? Like, no, I'm not going to try and download half a terabyte of data and put it somewhere
And
else
then back
now.
up somewhere.
Yeah, you're going to stick with it. Like,
It's going to be
put it on
easier
my-
for you to spend that monthly fee and just be like, oh, I'll do it next month.
It's
And then it
already
comes
there,
up and
yep.
it's like, I'll do it next
And then
month.
even when you go, oh, I don't really have the money right now, maybe what I'll do is I'll download everything and then I'll, oh wait, because you haven't been buying hard drives all this time, you don't have any space to download.
I've got 112 thumb drives over here that I'm going to start splitting everything onto.
And then that becomes a disaster because you are going to lose a file. 100%. When you go from one backup solution to another, anything that takes longer than like an hour, you're going to create a new revision of some file that you're going to forget which one you backed it up to. You're going to overwrite something. You're going to lose
Yeah, unless you're using something like enterprise class thing like AutoVert or something that does like file checking and basically redundancy and it ages all your files. And it's like, oh, okay, so then if you go ahead and pull in that enterprise class solution, then the free cloud storage that you had for 3 years is null and void. 'Cause you,
Just bought
I
an
hired a
enterprise
consultant to come in
Yeah.
and a data recovery team. $7,000 later, I'm glad I got the free 3 years of 1 terabyte storage.
So, I mean, cloud is cool, and I mean, things like my phone. You know what? It's really neat, picking up a new iPhone, plugging it into iTunes and going, or not plugging it into iTunes, rather using iCloud and go, all your stuff's on it. Don't worry about it, Linus. We got this taken care of. But, I mean, seriously, how hard would it be to just plug it into iTunes and then have it download all the apps and transfer my music back over? Like, really? So I saved myself an hour. What's your time worth to you? How often are you going to do that?
Well, and I'll tell you, like, the funny thing, too, is about, anything cloud-based is, it's awesome. I do the same thing for a lot of our files, especially when you have, like, disparate devices. Like, if I'm on the road, it's like, oh, I want to be able to grab something off my Dropbox or whatever. And then you don't have internet access. And then all of a sudden, the cloud sucks really hard.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, that's great that I have it remote, but, at least with Dropbox, you usually have, like, a local solution. But, pure cloud, it's like, it's great until there's some sort of problem with internet.
Until you have like, a 500 meg file that you have to tether your phone to download.
Then your data charge is just, oh dear God. It's not so free anymore now.
So, yeah, and I mean that, and I have my own sort of misgivings about cloud in general. For those of you who don't know, my YouTube account got hijacked. I guess it must have been a couple of years ago at this point. And it kind of drove home, oh, if something goes wrong with a cloud storage solution, whether it's someone obtaining my login somehow, or whether it's, you know what, nothing's infallible. If something disastrous happened, stuff can go down. You never had any control over it. With my backup solution, mine's kind of extreme, where I have an 8-drive RAID 6 here, and then I have an 8-drive RAID 5 somewhere else with nightly syncs. That's a little extreme, but you can use something like, what's that freaking thing called? That cheap solution where you just have 2 friends and you run it on each other's computers and then you back up to each other.
I don't remember the name.
I don't remember, but whatever. I mean, that's as cheap
It's
as,
cool, though.
Getting together with a buddy and being like, hey, if I buy a hard drive and you buy a hard drive, let's back up to each other and let's, for $50 or $60, we can back up more than we'd be able to do with, a few months of what we'd have paid for cloud storage.
Tell you a fight with that, buddy.
And we know I wouldn't back up the pictures of your girlfriend to it.
Oh, I appreciate that.
I didn't mean your girlfriend. I mean, I wasn't going to mention your girlfriend on the stream because your wife might see it.
Yeah, I know. I haven't even met her yet, but, someday.
Is your wife watching the stream, or was she too starstruck by my celebrity and the fact that I still have a company that I'm running and you don't?
Starstruck or nauseous? I don't know. And, the fact that it's 2 hours ahead, no, she's not watching this. In fact, she has taste. She's not watching this.
2560 by 1700. Okay, there you go. I was wrong, but it's definitely not worth $1,300. Yeah, good point. Yep. What happened to your video of the unboxing of the Windows Surface RT? It's gone. No, it isn't. Must be the cloud. Probably YouTube.
Blame it on the cloud.
Wrong resolution on Pixel. Yep. Sorry, my bad. You need to log into the forum to be able to load the picture. So that's stupid. Can we change that?
Maybe.
Okay, cool.
That must be a new thing with VB5 Gold.
Yeah, right. We're running vBulletin 5 Gold.
Which is their out of beta release.
There's still like, what, 400 pending things?
There's a lot of stuff still broken. VBulletin, come on guys.
Woo!
Please, fix your stuff.
Just let you know. Oh, okay. When you swap to browser view, yep. Got it. I got it. Cool. Well, let's see if there's any more Twitter questions and sort of cool stuff. Do I own NCIX? If so, you must be rich.
I own NCIX.
Do you own NCIX?
Yes.
Like the.
You can be a co-owner if you want. Actually, no. You can be a co-owner.
Oh, well,
yeah.
Done.
Good doing
Cool.
business.
Yeah, exactly.
So the Nerdy Computer Interactive Alliance. The X is for Alliance. Like, is that what you own, or?
No. NCIX, the whole thing.
Well,
It's like when X can replace anything. What's
X,
your name, Tom? Just call me X.
X is a variable.
Yeah, exactly.
It can literally replace anything, Mr. Not So Good at Math guy.
Random little tidbit. Doesn't the X in NCIX just literally not stand for anything?
Yeah, it actually literally doesn't stand for anything.
It's nothing.
So I was borrowing a page from their playbook. No, I do not own NCIX. In fact, I don't work there anymore, so definitely don't own it. With the PS4 having 8 gigs of GDDR5, by the way, do you think the next gen blah 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 will support DDR5? No, they won't, because this was GDDR5, which we already have. So the PS4 is actually going to be sharing that 8 gigs between the CPU and the graphics card. So this is the first time I've heard of an x86 CPU using GDDR memory. So that must have taken some kijiggering.
Yeah.
Apple talked about how more pixels isn't better when they introduced iPhone 4S and continue. Okay, all right. Well, Apple setting the trends as usual, I suppose. Just do a home server. It's your own personal cloud. Yes. What should I get? Scythe Mine 2 or Antec 620 closed loop cooler? 620 is a thin rad. I would probably get a decent air cooler rather than going that route, unless you want like more heat and better looks.
Yeah, you want a water heater, you know.
I mean, honestly, have we added a thin rad liquid cooling loop to our results spreadsheet?
Don't think so. Not particularly thin.
Okay, we should probably do that, because I think people are going to be pretty surprised.
We can bring up, we're going to be retesting a whole bunch of the stuff
yes.
with the H220.
Yes, SwiftTech H220, so SwiftTech is pretty adamant that there's no way that there's a 20°C difference between their Helix fans and our Noctua NFF12s. And I actually agree. That's kind of insane. Like, I looked at Slick's numbers, because he's the one who actually ran the tests, and I went, that can't be right. So I kind of stood there and supervised, and then it was right. But we were having some issues.
There was pump problems.
Yeah, with the pump running at full speed, it never actually managed to properly bleed the loop.
So you always had air swishing through?
So through the pump. Mm-hmm. So SwiftTech was like, oh, well, that wouldn't cause a 20° swing. To which I actually don't agree with that at all. Because I've seen
with
air trapped in a pump.
And no bleeding.
Yeah, I mean, it's a liquid cooler for a reason. If you have air in it, you're losing capacity, right?
Well, that and I've seen pumps in the past that actually pretty much stop working at all if they have a reasonable size air bubble caught in them. Where they'll be moving the fluid around, but it's like... Yeah. So I think it's possible that by running the pump so high, because remember, the H220 doesn't have a dedicated res. It's not as easy to bleed the air from it. It's got a res that's built into the radiator. So maybe the pump got burned so bad by, well, not burned, it didn't burn, but it got, I don't know, whatever, gingered so bad that it wasn't working properly to the point where temperatures went completely out of control. So, we're going to retest everything. We're going to test not only Helix fans.
And we did speak about not releasing those results.
Yeah, like internally we discussed just going, well, you know what? Our standard test bench is Noctuas.
Yeah. The reason why Linus decided to actually end up releasing those results was because we just thought we would show all of our work. And we did mention that the pump was on full speed. We did mention that we were using stock fans, but it was still not conveyed properly from us, I guess, in the end, what was actually going on in that test. So we're going to do a bunch more tests and try and be more concise.
Here's a great question from Bob, and I know it's about future products, so in theory you couldn't answer it. Mm-hmm. But he asks the question, are you guys planning on making a case that could hold 2 ATX motherboards? I think you probably have a pretty safe answer to that one. Unless you are.
Man, how does he know? No. At this time, I can tell you there's no plans for that.
So the reply as to why anyone would want that is one system for gaming and one for Linux. And having them in two cases would save space. Or in one
Having
case
in one
would
case
save
would save
space. Yeah,
space.
two cases wouldn't save any space at all.
No, probably not. It'd save,
Space seems powerful enough that it doesn't need to be saved.
well, it's been around for a while.
Captain Planet didn't care about space at all, did he?
If
That
you're
was a great show.
if you're running a whole system for gaming and then your second system for Linux, what are you running on there? If it's a really low end system, just build a tiny little computer.
Yeah, get like a Raspberry Pi.
Well, it might be running a little bit heavier than that.
Slick's not a big fan of the Raspberry Pi. Would you care to elaborate?
It's
It's unpopular opinion, by the way, so be ready for them to just all hate you.
Well, kind of threw me on the spot. I don't have one, so I haven't
Under the
actually
bus.
tested it.
That's the spot where I like to throw you.
Anyways,
Yeah, I can see it coming right now.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge fan of the really, really low power, low end computer little micro thing. I like Arduino controllers because there's interesting functionality that you can get from them, and they're kind of like just placing different circuit boards together and creating something awesome, and it's usually creating more of a hardware controller aspect. The Raspberry Pi is a little Linux computer. Just not super interested in a super low power, super low end computer.
Okay, tell me this. What are your feelings on toolless versus screwed-in designs for cases? This is a really good point that one of the forum members made, where he goes, "I have a Define R3 and a Node 304." So he's seriously a Fractal user. Good job. But putting in and removing hard drives is a bit of a pain. So he actually counts how many screws he has to remove to get a hard drive in and out of either of those systems, and it's 8 and 11. So he asks, are you guys planning to go toolless for your entire range of products? Now, I should be careful. Josh cannot say anything about plans for future products, but how would you personally feel about toolless designs versus tooled designs? And I'll pitch in my own 2 cents here at some point as well.
Okay, anything that's going to be done should be done well. There are a lot of really crappy toolless designs out there.
Just terrible.
That, I mean, it runs a range from like they don't work the way they should when you're trying to get something out to where you almost have to go get a tool to pry the dang thing out.
I've done that.
Yeah, to ones where...
Remember the old Thermaltake one? That green and purple one?
Yeah, well, and then there's things where it's like, the flip side is, okay, the ones that like basically have no retention mechanism whatsoever, like the teeth barely engage, and then it's like, okay, your system's fine as long as you don't move it or pick it up or try and transport it somewhere. You have hard drives sliding out. So, with us, we generally try and perfect everything before we kick it out. So we're really, I guess, really picky in that regard. I wouldn't say that we're not looking at that. I can't, obviously go into details about what we are not doing, but, we've heard that a lot, so it's always on the drawing board.
So here's my take. Personally, if I was to contribute something to Fractal's plans, particularly for hard drives, I actually haven't seen a toolless mechanism that okay, there's one that's pretty good. Cooler Masters is pretty good because the sleds are very lightweight. They actually don't stay in very well until you put a hard drive in them, and then they're extremely solid. And I can't remember if Cooler Masters does or not, but there are ones that, besides being toolless, give you the option to pop a screw or two into them, which I really do like. So if you have toolless, I'd love for it to also accommodate tools. And the reality of it is, I haven't encountered a single toolless design that actually holds the hardware in as safely and as well as a good old-fashioned screw.
Well, and, honestly myself, it's like, I tend to swap out components quite a bit. And obviously this might be a different usage scenario, but, it's not something I'm doing every day. It's not something where it's such a routine thing that it's that big of a pain for me. Now, obviously, if a lot of our customers feel that way, let us know, hit us up on Facebook or wherever. But, it's
Look
one
at
of
this
those...
guy pimping his Facebook here.
Why, do you even have it posted up there? No, you don't. I see how you are. But
You know
no.
what, speaking, okay, you know what, I forgot to do this at all tonight, so here we go. This video is brought to you by our trusted partner, Intel. For a limited time only, with the purchase of any unlocked Core i5 or Core i7 Intel CPU, get a free Intel beanie with a chance to win an Intel snowboard. Valid for Canadian and US customers only. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, visit intelgamingpromo.com. Yay! Sponsored spot. Okay, so sorry, you were saying something interesting?
Probably not interesting, but I was saying something. Yeah, so...
I gotta figure out how to make that smoother.
Well, the segue.
And segue.
Yeah.
You should have like a
We're
sign
now
across
doing
it.
this.
Segue. Yeah. In case you're curious, boom, this is what we're doing. But I think what it comes down to is let us know honestly if you guys really want toolless stuff. I mean, we've always looked at it.
How hard is it to go grab a screwdriver?
So here's been my thing for the longest time, and someone's always going to argue whatever I say because there's always some situation out there where you don't. It's like, okay, when's the last time you put a motherboard in and not use a screwdriver? And it's like, you can use thumb screws and do whatever you want to do.
Oh, come on.
You could. I'm just saying, someone's probably going to say that. You could, but...
But you should not.
Yeah.
And I mean, honestly, what are the odds of getting your fingers in there anyway?
Yeah.
Okay, well, you can't see, but there's like a heatsink here. It's like, by the time you fight with that, you could have gone and gotten a screwdriver and done it properly.
Yeah.
Personally, I like screwing in hard drives anyways, because the second you try and put on some stupid flimsy toolless thing, I'm worried about my hard drive.
Yeah.
I want to just screw it in. I don't know. I'm not a fan of toolless stuff at all.
Yeah, so it's one of those things, like, it seems like it makes things a lot quicker, but I guess, again, at the end of the day, for me, it's not something that I swap out a lot, and generally the feedback we've gotten from most of our customers up until now has been, it's not that big of a thing. It seems honestly like it's more like a bullet point feature point on a product list than like an actual usability feature. Because again, if it doesn't work right, then it's just going to be a source of frustration,
And I mean, the only really good toolless implementations I've seen, even for things like side panels, I think Corsair 600T is actually a great toolless side panel implementation. 2 nice solid latches. They are solid. They actually clip into place. I mean, toolless, it doesn't hold the side panel on as well as tooled, as screws most of the time. So if you're like jamming cables behind the motherboard tray and you're trying to get a toolless panel back on, it's just not going to work. Whereas with that one, you actually, like, it clipped into place.
Crank it down.
And like the clips on the bottom were solid. It looks ugly. It's in the way. It's all over your side panel. And that was what people complained about with that case. So you look at it and you go, okay, well, like, what's the balance between something that's highly visible and something that's convenient? I don't know.
Remember Liam Lee, back in the day, they used to do it where they had like the captive thumb screw that was attached to the rail. So it's like, you don't do the thumb screw and you slide the rail back and you pop out, so like the teeth instead of being on the side.
That was so finicky though.
But yeah, and it was still like, okay, get the panel on, you kind of push on it a little bit and kind of have to hammer
Get it
on
just
it.
right and then...
Yeah, so it's
And it was made of aluminum, so if you pressed on it too hard, the stupid thing on the back bent.
And that's the thing. And then it like had that little loop like in case you wanted to lock your side panel on. Like that's a concern. But the thing is there's a lot of ideas out there that they're very good on paper, but in practice they just don't pan out. Because like you said, like to do it securely enough, it's probably not the most visually pleasing solution. And to do the most visually pleasing solution is probably not secure enough.
And if you end up with like a themed case like this one, so this is a Vengeance C70 from some other case company from Corsair. So if you're doing a themed build where you can go, oh yeah, well let's make it look like an ammo box. That's a way that you can build something that's actually solid enough, holds the panel in place, and doesn't look out of place. But let's face it, Swedish design, would that allow for clips like this on the side of the case?
Well, that's and honestly, I think that most designs, you always want to incorporate whatever you can and keep that whole design ethos going, right? Whether it's more of like a blingy case or, a flamboyant gaming case or whatever. But yeah, it's definitely still going to fit the overall theme of what you're doing. So yeah, it seems like it'd be something that'd be very easy to implement, and it is, but to implement it right is a whole other thing.
So anything toolless basically amounts to a lever or a latch somewhere, and minimalistic design is not necessarily conducive to that.
Well, if we could do it in a way that fit the design
If you
scheme.
could have like a lever, like a latch on the bottom of the case, something like that could work. Like a side panel that actually opened up from the bottom out.
Yeah.
Or something, slide in like that. Or I mean, if you could make it still look clean, then that might be the solution. But I think it's probably getting pretty late, so there's a couple more comments from viewers, unless you guys had any other topics you wanted to discuss. I'm tired. You must be tired. Actually, do you sleep?
Not usually, no. I have a flight in 7 hours.
All right.
There you go.
Found it. Do you use a CM Storm trigger? Could you recommend it? No, it's okay. Greetings from Germany. I just got up and it's 7:30 here. Thank you for joining us. Here, Sean O says, just made a build with the R4. Amazing case.
Thank you, Sean.
We've got a Tech Quickie coming.
Yeah, we've got actually, if you guys are not already subscribed to the YouTube channel Tech Quickie, go subscribe. I have a video coming out about exactly this topic right here. I still do work for NCIX. I still do work for them, although I do
You're
NCIX
contracted?
tech tips for them, yes.
There you go.
Linus should do more outdoor unboxings. Yeah, it's really cold and really wet. I know NCIX handles the gift card giveaways, but I still haven't gotten my gift card. You should contact them about it. How do you learn about computer hardware besides being a slave like Slick?
You do kind of work me ridiculous hours.
I work you?
Doesn't feed you.
That sounded
No.
just wrong. We're done.